right, I'm happy to call to order the January 11th, 2023 meeting of the City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services Commission. How about we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay.
Would you love that?
I would.
What a great way to start the year.
What's it sort of morning?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Osland,
Present.
Commissioner Breed,
Present.
Commissioner Mitra, absent, Commissioner Lopez Lucy,
Present.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesic,
Present.
Student Commissioner Gupta,
Present.
Vice Chair Dorlick,
Present.
Chair Keniston Lee,
Here.
present. Thank you.
All right, great.
Working on it.
Okay, yes. All right, let the record show that we're a complete team.
Commissioner Mates is here.
Commissioner Mitra has just entered.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go to item 4, special items and announcements. 4.1, temporary employee of the month for December, Miles Santos Roque, presented by Rhiannon Thomas, our recreational coordinator. Come on up.
Good evening, commissioners and members of the public. The City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services Department would like to congratulate Miles Santos Roque on being chosen the temporary employee of the month for the month of December. Miles is currently a senior at Doherty Valley High School, where he's also a member of the varsity baseball team. He began working with the department in the fall and jumped right in as a coach for our Little Dribblers program, an official for our K2 Youth Hoops program, and also monitoring our gymnasiums at Iron Horse and Pine Valley. He's being recognized specifically for being super initiative early on in his career with the city. In one such instance, he was tasked with completing the team t-shirt distribution order. The initial order we send out, we have a collection of sizes. And then, of course, we receive certain late registrations. So Miles was tasked with looking at the initial order and then looking at our late registrations, pulling from our surplus that we had from the previous season and making sure that each participant had the correct color, logo, and size for their team t-shirt this season. Miles has been a great addition to the team, and we greatly appreciate his effort and hard work.
Calculus is nothing, reconciling sports t-shirt. So thank you for that. That's no offense. And also thank you, I understand that you're a good recruiter for our department, so I think that's great as well. And thank you for working with them independently. That's all great skills. So
Thank you. Thank you.
congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here to accept the Employee of the Month award for Parks and Community Services. I would like to acknowledge and thank my supervisors and especially Rhiannon Thomas for giving me the support that I have right now. I look forward to serving the youth community and the city of San Ramon on the upcoming years. Thank you.
God.
Okay. Way to go. I love also that we kind of grow these great people here. You know what I mean? That's wonderful. Anybody want to say anything? Are we good?
Be nice, come Parks.
You're right here. Oh, Commissioner Dorlick, thank you for using the technology. Good job.
Am I thinking an infielder?
Yeah, I played third base.
Third base. I was
I
thinking maybe
played second base last year,
Okay,
but played third.
that means you're fearless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Just check. Just check.
Good.
Thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, I'm going to go to item 4.2. Then I will ask if we have any public comments. So let's go to other special announcements.
Certainly, I've got a few things to let you know. So I think most of you are aware, but just in case, there was some extreme weather on New Year's Eve. that has continued. I'm sure you're aware. But I don't know if you realize that the Public Services Department, the Police Department, and the Fire Department needed to evacuate seniors from their homes in that Sunny Glen area.
Mhm.
And they evacuated to the El Costa Senior and Community Center. And Brad and Adam and some of our temp staff got the call, leapt into action on New Year's Eve and got over there to the center to make sure that we had coffee going and we were making those people comfortable until they could find housing.
That's great.
So like to let you know when we do those kinds of things. Way to go, Brad. We also
I
in
can
the
testify he makes great coffee, so it was, that was right up his alley.
there are some stories that I'm sure will get printed up and sent out about what the wonderful things that our Public Services Department did and our Police Department and Fire Department. So I'm sure you'll see those in the coming weeks, but they really were heroes to that part of the community that was really struggling with the water. So we also had some damage at the farm. I wanted to make sure you knew from the weather with falling trees, a broken water main. There's a tree threatening the bridge right now because it's fallen and it's caught on another tree.
Mm.
And so Public Services is working on that. It's very muddy, inaccessible parking lot. So we did cancel fun on the farm last week, and I'm not sure if we're up for this week or not, but we hope to resume and get everything safe again so that we can have everyone back at the farm. But it's a little dicey out there right now. So do not visit right now. That would be my one note of caution. We have a few meetings coming up. The Finance Committee meeting, that's Commissioner Breed, Lopez, Lucy, and Osland. That's on 124 at 3:30. That's for the fee resolution. We've got a Facilities Committee meeting scheduled for January 25th at 3 to review the naming for the Art Center and rooms. That's Commissioner Mitra, Osland, and Chair Keniston Lee. And then we have the most exciting Joint City Council Commission meeting on January 25th, also at 6 p.m. So I want to make sure you all have all three of those meetings down. And then if you're not busy enough, we do have a few fun things coming up in January. So we've got the Arts Foundation Friday Foreign Films are kicking off this Friday with The Devil's Backbone. On Monday, the Diversity Coalition is partnered, or the city's partnered with them, and they'll be doing their Martin Luther King event in the City Hall Rotunda from 2 to 4. Don't miss, I know Commissioner Lopez Lucy will mention this, but on January 28th, the Historic Foundation Crab Feed, there's a flyer. The city of San Ramon's doing a presenting series performance on January 29th, the Marshall Tucker Band. So if you're into country.
Yeah.
And then I can't leave off the Senior Foundation's Cupid Bingo coming up on February 11th. So lots of fun and exciting things to do.
So question, was the Devil's Demon scheduled especially on Friday the 13th?
That's a great question. I do.
Yes, it was. It was
Okay.
eventually
Okay,
planned that way, and they're looking forward to it.
just checking.
Excellent. That's all the updates I have.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we'll go to item 5. Public comment or written communication. At this time, members of the public are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Services Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda, and comments should not exceed 3 minutes. Do we have anybody in the queue?
Yes, we do. Let me promote them.
Thank you.
Caller, go ahead and you're on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
thank you.
Okay, I actually raised my hand for the announcement. I would like a repeat of the January joint meetings and the other meetings. I would like to make sure I attend those because there has been weird meeting notices, such as the one that took place on December 27th for the city city manager appointment. I didn't get that one. And I also didn't get the open space meeting that took place on the 9th as well. So Ms. Hyman, would you please kindly repeat that again, but slower?
Kathy, can you just go ahead and mention the high level meetings, the committee meetings?
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
So the Commission Finance Committee meeting will be held on January 24th at 3:30 p.m. The Facilities Committee meeting of the commission will be held on January 25th at 3 p.m. And the joint city council and commission meeting will be held on January 25th at 6 p.m.
And for the benefit of the public who might be in, can you remind us how we can be plugged in and get notifications of meetings?
Absolutely. You can follow on the city website and you will receive every notification of every meeting that there is. Just pop on the city website, go to the commission city council page, and there's a link there you can click.
Okay, caller, was that it?
Yes, but I just want to say that in the past, I have logged onto the city website, but even that, you guys had a lag. So please just kindly ask the clerks to do their jobs by sending out East San Ramon notification 3 days prior to the date of the meeting scheduled. Thank you. And I also raised my hand for public comment. May I proceed?
Yes, if it's not on the agenda, you may proceed.
Yes, it's not on the agenda. So because the public who has been regularly attending the open space meeting for months, as well as regularly receiving digital notifications of the regular and special meetings scheduled via East San Ramon, the failure of the city's part to not send out a digital notification to the public constitutes a violation of the Brown Act. Therefore, the public has the right to challenge every single action items that were approved on the January 9th meeting as a void, because you did not properly notify the public. So therefore, you have violated the agenda notification rules, which is you have to let the public know. So I am challenging the appointment of Mr. Bob Peoples' chair position. I want to protest that because as a GAD taxpayer, I feel that he would have way too much power. He would have way too much power.
Caller, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to item 6, approval of minutes for the regular meeting, December 14th, 2022. Yeah. So moved by Commissioner Vice Chair Dorlick. Do I have a second? Okay, I'm going to go with Commissioner Breed, and then we'll take a vote.
How I abstain. Abstain here.
See it?
You don't have to abstain. You can vote on it.
She can if she wants, but she doesn't have to.
But I
Yeah.
don't want to.
Okay, so we should be at 610. All righty, so motion passes. Do we have any public comment on this item? We do. Okay, yeah.
Caller, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Why did you cut me off in the first place when I was still talking?
Well, you were over time, and so we have an agenda to get to. We try to adhere to, the same amount of time for each caller to be respectful of everybody's time.
Okay, so I don't think so because I was also timing myself for public comment. I was only 1.5 minutes.
Okay, well, we have a timer that our clerk maintains, and it showed me that you were
Right,
about 2
she
minutes over.
timed me 3 minutes for both the special announcement as well as the public comment.
Okay, caller, do you have something to say on the approval of minutes?
No, but I would like my time back to finish my public comment. You stole
Okay.
my time. That's also
Okay.
a violation of Brown Act.
Okay, we're going to go to the consent agenda. Do we have any consent items? Okay, so we're going to go to commission business. And we're going to start with 8.1, approval of the public art for Bishop Branch, BR6, City Village Park. And for this one, we get to hear from Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Commissioners, thank you very much for having me back. I get to talk about one of our favorite topics, which is public art. And very excited to be here to talk about art going in one of the parks we recently been talking about, which is BR6. So what we're looking for today is staff was recommending the Parks and Community Services Commission receive the staff report and a recommendation from the Arts Advisory Committee to approve Jackrabbit and the Swirl Birds as the 2 pieces of public art for BR6 City Village Park. And so just to give you a little bit of background on this, I think we're all familiar with the park. We've been talking about kind of that park location and the items going in it. So I won't kind of go over all of that with you. I will remind you that on March 9th, 2022, Parks and Community Services Commission did approve the conceptual design plans for that park, which included 2 locations for public art pieces. But we did not designate the actual pieces. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. And this is a little bit different of an art project. I think for most of you that are familiar with our public art program, normally it comes about a different way, right? Where we determine a location, then we go off the art, so on and so forth. But this is a real unique opportunity for us. We have a park that's being built and 2 pieces that are going to come along with that park, which is exciting. It's a great opportunity for us. And to top that all off, it's meeting some of our goals of, as you all know, this park is right along our walking district, and a lot of the items that we've talked about with that walking district is public art and those attractions and those things. And so it's a really great opportunity for us to have this. So Sudbury Hill Homes went through the process of looking for different artists and pieces, and they selected Dale Rogers as the artist that they would like to work with. We gave them samples of other artists that have been in the community and other pieces of our public art that are part of our program. They really liked his work, really tried to keep this artwork along the same lines as some of our other pieces that are popular with the community. And so that's kind of what got us going in the direction we did. So they originally proposed 6 pieces of art to the Arts Advisory Committee to select from, and the Arts Advisory Committee came back with the 2. Just a little bit of history on Dale Rogers, who's our artist. In case you're not familiar, we do have a couple pieces of art of his in the city of San Ramon. One of our more popular pieces, I believe, is The People in Central Park. That was done by him, as well as Reaching for the Stars, which is at Walgreens in the Doherty Valley. And if you're not familiar with those pieces, those are done with the Cor-Ten steel that Dell uses and is known for its lifelong and low maintenance. The steel oxidizes over time and offers an organic and rustic elegance to the sculptures. And so, and that kind of helps. I know one of the concerns with the Arts Advisory Committee, as well as with the commission over the years, is kind of vandalism as it comes to these public art pieces. And so with this, it really helps with that. In the event of vandalism, public services generally can use a graffiti remover or a pressure washer or a mild abrasive. And with this Cor-Ten, steel, once you clean it, it kind of weathers and comes back to that natural look, which is really nice for that artwork. And kind of like what we talked about and with some of our other public art, we do find that vandalism is at a minimum when you're looking at public art. Traditionally, we do not, luckily, knock on wood, have a lot of vandalism when it comes to our public art. They look to vandalize other things. So that is nice in this case. The Arts Advisory Committee did meet on December 21st, 2022 to review the 6 proposed options. And the Arts Advisory Committee recommended the Jackrabbit and the Swirl Bird, as the 2 pieces for the public art piece for this park. The Arts Advisory Committee felt Jackrabbit was a wonderful presence that would draw children and people to the park to interact with the art piece. It maintained its natural feel of the park and provides a whimsical aspect. In addition to that, they really like the Swirl Bird because it kind of provides a contrast to the Jackrabbit and an opportunity to view and engage in the artwork passively. The shape and the color of the Swirl Birds complements the park's natural areas and provides integral and interesting to those who take a moment to reflect on that piece. The committee did have some discussion in regards to the dogs, just to give you a little bit of a perspective on this. And they wanted to kind of stay away from that because they thought that would maybe give the park a feel of more like a dog park. Although the dogs are allowed in that park, they just thought those would be better fit for a dog park type setting. That was their that was their consensus that they kind of came back on. As well as they kind of recommended, if possible, to have it at grade rather than on a pedestal, because they really wanted to encourage that interaction with the piece. As far as the fiscal impact, the developer will be purchasing and installing the public art pieces as an attribute to the park. The cost of the park amenities, including the public art pieces, will be deducted from their in lieu fees paid to the city by the developer per that parkland dedication ordinance. So a little bit of that. And then in here, we talk about those costs for the two pieces and the overall cost of that. And these two pieces are quite nice for that dollar amount that we're getting. And so we're really excited to move this forward and get your opinion on what you would recommend those two pieces be in the park. So with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. I have a couple slides in case you want to go over some of the pieces of art, the locations. I also have that's going to join us for the Q&A, John Hickey and Jared Brotman from Summerhill Homes, in case you have any specific questions regarding that. So they're online and they'll be more than happy to join us in the conversation in case you have any questions.
We
So,
appreciate that.
yeah.
All right, let's open it up to, first of all, let me ask the commission, do you guys want any overhead images, slides? Is what is in your packet sufficient? Perhaps as we go through clarifying questions, if you would like a particular image, they could probably put it up there. So we'll start with clarifying questions. And I see that I have some folks in the queue. Commissioner Mitra.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Bert. So this looks awesome. First of all, I actually like all the pieces. Couple of questions about the maintenance. I see there is a financial fiscal impact. It says that after the installation, it becomes a public of the property of the city, maintenance and artwork. So basically, after the installation, city will maintain any kind of damage, any kind of. It's a city's responsibility.
That's
Although
correct.
That's a park is the private park.
And that's a lot. Well, the park is not a private park. This is a public park. And when the city accepts the park, so once it's done, the city will accept the park. And that artwork would be just like the swing set or the water fountain, drinking fountain. And that's just like that's like all of our public art that's city owned and city maintained. So yes, with the vandalism or the maintenance of it, that would be just like any other piece of equipment in the park.
Okay. And the other one I have is, we talked about two locations, right? On the one on the Kevin Ramon side and another
Yep.
one on, what is that? Street A or something. Yeah.
Parkland.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have we decided which one goes where?
The Arts Advisory Committee, I mean, I think that could be something, if you have a strong feeling which one you would like in each location, that would be something that we can discuss, yes.
Because I
So
was
there's
reading
the
through
two
that, I didn't
locations.
see that.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to confirm, there's the two locations. We have the one location, which is on the corner of Camino Ramon and Executive Parkway. So that main corner of the park,
Right.
which would be logically one of the entrances to the park.
Right.
And then we have the other entrance to the park, which is along A Street. If you're
And
familiar,
Yes.
that's the small entrance street off of Executive Parkway, where it would be at that main entrance as
So
well.
Brad, what you're telling us is that a specific art piece has not been designated for a specific location.
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
I think the rabbit was at the main entrance and the swirl was on the A Street side.
Okay,
Now,
Is
are we,
what I
are
remember
we,
from the Arts Advisory.
because I was reading through that, I didn't see that
I
anywhere.
didn't see
Yeah.
the.
you're right. And so I did not get that takeaway from the Arts Advisory Committee. So I think that's something that, as we discuss with what we move forward, if the commission feels strongly about where each piece should be placed, that's certainly what we can take away from this meeting,
So
which would be
we'll reserve
fine.
that for discussion. Were there
Yeah.
any other
Okay, yeah.
questions, Commissioner Mitra?
I have some comment, but on that.
Okay,
on that location,
perfect.
but
All right.
other than this-
Thank you very much for that. Commissioner Dorlick, Vice Chair Dorlick.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna give some additional background. So Dale has been a long time partner with the city of San Ramon. Kathy and I were there when he rolled up with a flatbed truck after driving across the country from Massachusetts with our family sculpture. And, engineering did a perfect job as far as the fit goes. And he's been a great, person to work with, a great partner to the city to work with. And as far as the maintenance, I think the maintenance on the sculpture in Central Park has amounted to an entire amount of 0.00. So, there has been no need for that. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, Dale's a very experienced public art artist. There is a difference. I mean, there is, that you look for that experience among an artist as well, that they have experience in, presenting the art in the public environment, in the weather, and, et cetera, et cetera. And he uses materials that are very resistant to all of the above. So, unless it's, a direct targeted intended vandalism, and why would they do that when we have so many bathrooms available to vandalize that, I wouldn't expect that there'd be a large amount of maintenance, following that, just as there hasn't been in Central Park, because of the materials and, quite honestly, because of the presentation of the art itself, kind of softens your heart. I mean, how can you go up and vandalize a family like that? I mean, I guess some people could, but, just the nature of the presentation of the work is, I think, has been a bit of a saving grace from a maintenance standpoint as well. So I would heartily recommend
Okay,
acceptance of the
All right.
report.
let's get back on the questions. And Commissioner Breed?
Thanks, Commissioner Kennison Lee, or Chair, sorry. Brad, two questions. On the fees, it says it'll be paid by the developer for the parkland dedication ordinance. So that money, was that purpose used for anything else, or was it just purpose to be used for the artwork?
Well, they're in Luffy. Kathy's got a better understanding this than me.
I
so
should
I'm
always
gonna-
ask when it comes to money questions, I'm going to Kathy.
Her.
So, and Kathy, where I'm headed is,
I understand. I
you know
think-
where I'm headed?
Yes, I do.
You know me well now.
Well, I think I do. If I get it wrong,
Okay.
go ahead and tell me. But in this case, the parkland dedication ordinance is the amount of money that the developer has to, they have to give us acreage, or they have to give us money, or they have to give us a combination of acreage and money according to that ordinance. So in this case, the park land, they're not giving us as much land as they would be required to for the number of units that they're building. So therefore, they have to give us a combination. It will be a combination of the land for the park, just the land, and fees. In this case, we wanted a turnkey park, in other words, all the way built and completed with all of those attributes. So now they gave us the land, we have the fees. Because we want a turnkey park, the cost of that park will be taken from those fees. So that's all still part of this bundle. And then any leftover fees beyond that will be paid back to the city to be used for other park development things. So i.e., bocce courts, tables, creating new things, all of that kind of stuff. So that's the whole big equation per the parkland dedication ordinance, which is attached to the Quimby Act.
So that money can only be used for that park,
No,
or it can be used for other parks, like if we want the West Side Parks or whatever.
it could be used for other things.
Okay.
But in this case, again, we asked for a turnkey park. So for example, if you wanted less attributes in this park, the park would be cheaper. And then you would have more money to spend potentially on other things in other places. But in this case, we've already approved the conceptual plan for this park with all of these beautiful attributes.
Yep.
So your art is a little subjective, although these are fairly reasonable pieces in the grand scheme of art, but you could potentially downsize it or decide you don't want art in that park any longer.
Yeah, I know I have no issue with it. I just want to make sure I understand the flow of money and if the money can be used in other places. And was it pinpointed to be used in other places to pay for, we're going to talk about master plan later on, but how's the money flow and where should it go? So that's helpful. So thank you.
Does anybody else have any clarifying questions before I ask a couple? No. Okay, so Brad, one question I had was regarding process. Before you get to Arts Advisory Committee and you guys contact Dale for some, possible art pieces. Is it just at the staff level that you guys discuss concepts like an animal or this or that and the other, or did you go to Arts Advisory Committee prior to him coming up with these conceptual designs and ask them, you know, is there a direction, or is that all from staff at that initial stage?
Well, and this is kind of a unique situation, right? So because it's even though it's a public park, it's a public entity providing it. So we kind of did a hybrid of this process
Okay.
to where traditionally when a private entity would come forward, it's their development and their recommendations. So yes, we had some input with Summerhill Homes in regards to, these are projects that we've done in the past. These are things that the community likes. These are things that have been approved. These are things that haven't, so on and so forth. And then they kind of took those notes and then went and looked at the artists that they think would be a good fit. And John might be able to explain a little bit about that, but that's the.
Okay. Well, let me tell you why I asked the question. I asked the question because of the jackrabbit versus dog. When I saw the puppy, I have to admit, I love the puppy. It resonated with me. The jackrabbit's adorable. It is in the context of a question. But it got me to thinking, and the fact that the Arts Advisory Committee had the foresight to connect that with a dog park, brilliant Arts Advisory Committee, good thinking. But then that got me to thinking, do we provide some initial identity or branding input to Dale as he comes up with concepts? And I know he knows our community somewhat. So that was just the question. And so I don't think we need to belabor it, but maybe moving forward to think about that initial part of the process and how much we seed Dale with, you know, things like that. Okay, Commissioner Dorlick saying, you can tell me when we go to comments why that's not a good idea. I will look forward to that with bated breath. Okay. So that was one question. The other question is interactive versus passive engagement with the art pieces. Can you tell me, it looked like from the staff report, the thought was that the jackrabbit would be more interactive and the swirl bird would be engaged with passively. And so when I looked at that design, it looked like it was begging for somebody to hang on to those little twirlies, which I quite like. But am I reading that correctly, or what is the engagement level of each piece?
Well, I think it will really depend on, I mean, it's funny to say that. I think we'll see how the community decides to engage with it. But yes, I think with the conversation that they had at the Arts Advisory Committee, they really could see like the kids and the community really engaging with that, with the jackrabbit piece. It's a big rabbit that's going to be there, and we'll probably go into more detail on that, to where, yes, the swirl is more, there's ways to engage with it, but it's not as like a big bunny.
So are we expecting kids are going to climb on the jackrabbit?
He's got his hand up. So.
Oh, yeah.
So part of the conversation was the jackrabbit was less inclined to have people climb up on it rather than the dog. The dog, there was some speculation that people would kind of climb up on it and, ride bareback on it. Whereas the rabbit is, on an incline and there's really no place to hang on.
Okay.
And so that there would be less
Yeah.
probability of somebody jumping on the, jacking the rabbit
Yeah.
rather than jacking the
Okay.
dog.
So I'm going to keep that question out there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go, we have one more commissioner who'd like to ask a question. And then when we get to commissioner comments, if you guys have thought about it and have something to say about that, then let's talk about it more then, except Brett, if you want to.
And I think that would be great. And then I think what we'll do is field the next question. And then when we get to that, we can bring John in, and then he can go down that road as well, and then help us answer some of those questions that I think would be great.
That'd be great. Okay, Commissioner Roseland?
So my question is, when I'm hearing from some of the comments that have been made, is that we don't necessarily have to have two sculptures. Correct? We could have one art piece.
There's two places for an art piece.
There's two designated places at this time.
Yeah.
But we're looking at two pieces. But what I've heard is we could have 0, 1, or 2.
I don't remember that being placed as an option at the Arts Advisory Committee.
I think Kathy's going to
Yeah,
win.
I'll help you out here. You could, there's the big downside to deciding to remove one of the art pieces is you're not likely to get it back for quite some time. So I think staff in trying to implement the walking district kind of direction was trying to take every opportunity we can to build art onto those pathways to make them engaging and unique. So on the one hand, the opportunity to get 2 installed pieces of art is very enticing to making that goal happen. But you're right, you could decide to put neither. You could decide, and we could remove them from the plan entirely, or you could decide to put just one. All options.
So my other question, thank you, Kathy, is just want to remind everybody that there are 3 small play areas focusing on nature, the natural world, music, and balance and spinning. And so I just want to remind everyone of that as we have our discussion. And I think the other thing is that the rabbit, I, for some reason, was also under the impression that a rabbit was going at the front entrance and the tree was going in the back, was recommended. I don't know where I'm reading this now and it's not popping out at me, but I did have that impression. So somewhere along the line that was put out there. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, you do, Chair. Let me bring them in. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I'm timing myself, so you don't need to cut me off, please. I have 3 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 1, are these sculptures already built and installed somewhere? It's a little bit strange that you haven't approved the sculptures, but it seems like they're already erected somewhere. So are these other people's pieces, standing somewhere in the world? Or I'm not sure what to think of those pictures. So if I can get answers on all my questions, it would be great. So I don't feel like I'm air or garbage to you. Number 2, can kids who kick balls or play frisbees hit these sculptures and take away their play spaces? Number 3, any steel sharp edges that may form when a toddler touches the sculpture and cut their fingers? And if they do, I suppose they can sue the city, right? Number 4, no staff disclosure on the maintenance costs. So it feels a bit deceitful or misleading intentionally to get a quick approval. Number 5, is the artist a friend or family of any commissioners? Please recuse yourself if it's a yes. Number 6, will these sculptures need to be shipped to California since the artist is from the East Coast, and I believe that is a positive from the staff report? Then in that case, in the case of severe damages due to vandalism, then how do we handle the repairs? We need to ship them back again to Massachusetts? Or can we just toss them and trash them? Lastly, this is a comment. I prefer the swirlbird and the cherry blossoms. They have less likely edges that can hurt the public, and they are a little bit more fortuitous to the feng shui of our city, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad, I'm going to allow 3 questions. Do you mind commenting on that these are conceptual designs, correct? And that there is software is used to present the ideas?
Why don't we bring John in? My understanding of it is these are pieces of art that he's created.
So he does.
And
have
he's
them.
selling these, this is part of his
Collection.
that is available for purchase. So he has a number of pieces on his website that he's already created that are open for purchase.
Okay, so these are already built. Okay. Number 2, does anybody want to comment on, I'm assuming there are no sharp edges, and that
Lots
that's
of
our,
comments.
yes.
So Dale is a very experienced public art creator. He has a number of installations up and down the West Coast as well as the East Coast. He has 2 pieces that are in San Ramon, and he is very cognizant of safety issues. And he does not create art that would lead to any superficial nor catastrophic injury to either the public, the installers, or any child under the age of 18.
Thank you. And finally, can you tell us the process for repairs for public art?
In regards to
If there's
the caller's question or in
Yeah,
regards to
with regard
just in
the caller's
general?
question, if there was something to happen to the public art, what is our process for repair?
Well, in regards to at least I may misunderstood the question, but part of the concern was during shipment. And one of the pluses to the way this process is playing out is actually Summer Hill Homes is developing the park with the artwork in it. So when we accept it as a city, the artwork is in it and it's in the right state. If there is a shipping problem, that's between Summer Hill Homes and the artist. In regards to maintenance, just the general maintenance, yes, we as staff and as public services, we're in the parks, we take a look at them. If we notice something is out of line, then of course with any vandalism, we address it ASAP. And then depending on that type of vandalism, we would figure out the right course of action. A lot of that's
It's right here on site. It's not shipped out to the artist.
No.
Okay, I think that was the clarification. Thank you
And-
for clarifying that.
Yeah, and we're experienced with this type of art because we have it. So we're familiar with the vandalism that would
Okay.
happen to this. So
Perfect.
yes.
Yes.
I can comment on the arm's length relationship with the artist. As mentioned, the artist has been working with the city of San Ramon for a number of years. I was on the Arts Advisory Committee when we vetted Mr. Rogers, and we wouldn't have anybody making decisions on the purchase and or approval of a particular artist if there was less than an arm's length relationship with the artist. So
Okay, thank you.
there is no relationship, nor would create any conflict of interest as per state, federal, and local municipality ordinances and laws.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
We have John on the line
Okay.
from Summer Hill Homes. John, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I gather I'm supposed to stay off video, but I'm happy to show my face if that would be the preference. I just wanted to, first of all, thank Brad for a good presentation. I wasn't sure whether you wanted to ask me any questions before we went to public comment, which is why I went ahead and raised my hand, just to remind folks that I was available. The only other thing that I would want to mention in response to one of the commissioner's questions to Kathy was, my understanding is that the park plan, the concept was already approved back in March. And so, and the agenda item for tonight, just as a reminder, is the approval of the artwork, not any reconsideration of the park concept plan. And I'll defer to Kathy whether, if she wants to say anything about that, but that was just a reminder because that has been settled. And as Kathy knows, we've been working for a long time to get through the construction drawings, and revisiting the concept plan at this point would be difficult for us. And I think an unfortunate delay for the city.
No, I think we're all on the same page. We understand that what we're here to do with regard to the artwork, but thank you for that clarification.
Great, thank you.
Do the commissioners have any other questions for John before we go to public or commissioner comment? All right, so I will open it up for commission and any other public comment. We're good. Okay, great. Commissioner comments? Vice Chair Dorlick.
If I remember correctly, from the Arts Advisory Committee meeting, the jackrabbit was being positioned near the playground because of the proximity to the expected demographics that would be in the playground, i.e. children. And that the swirl bird was more toward the passive part of the park near not the swamp area. What am I thinking of?
Retention basin.
Yeah, the basin. And on that side, so that there was some thought to where each piece would be located as per what the expected traffic flow and expected demographics that would be going to that end of the park. So the jackrabbit was more, as had been mentioned many times, whimsically in front of or near the playground, and the other piece more blending in with the more natural, passive walking, sitting area.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Commissioner Mitra?
Yeah, just want to get a clarification on that. So when you say playground, is it the intersection of Camino Raman and Executive Parkway or the other one?
Could you repeat that, please?
So playground,
There
I'm
are
just trying
three.
to place those location, those two,
Three.
where that we're planning to, because I couldn't find one.
That's a good question, Partha. Let me get the map up on the screen if I can. If we can take the action item down, that'd be great.
Yep.
Perfect. So Will, and I appreciate you because I did not get, I missed that when writing the staff report, so I apologize.
That's okay.
So this is the main entrance off of A Street that you can see. And Will, was the takeaway that it was going to be, this is the entrance, or it was the one that was closer to the corner in that playground area right there?
Yeah, I think that there was some comments that, and I don't think there was anything settled.
Right.
At the meeting, but the comments were that the Jackrabbit would seem more appropriate near the playground where the, children would be.
Right.
Rather than, at the other side where it'd be more of a passive walking area.
Perfect.
So
Right.
that could be something
So,
that would be.
and
discussed here as
this
well.
would be great for John. Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, I have to weigh in. Yeah, so that's my recollection as well. The discussion was that the rabbit would be more appropriate near the playground. Now, to complicate matters slightly, there are actually two different active play areas in the park, but I took it to mean, for what it's worth, and I don't have strong feelings about this either way. I took it to mean that the rabbit would go on the location that's closer to A Street, which is a little bit closer to the slightly larger play area, and that the other area seemed to be more the passive area, closer to the plantings and bioretention areas.
Okay, so can I?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I was just, that's what I was trying to place it. Where are we going? The big rabbit.
Mhm.
I love that rabbit, but it is big.
It
8
is
foot-
big,
8 foot
yes.
tall, 7 feet long.
Yeah.
Right. So when I'm driving to Camino Raman or Executive Parkway, I'm just thinking, if I have such a big one in such a small place, small park, will that be appropriate? So now I'm hearing that might go to intersection between Executive and A Street, right?
Correct. My understanding from the conversation, and thank you, John and Will, for clarifying, is the Jackrabbit would go at the section that is up on the screen right now, which is the A Street entrance.
Okay.
Which is right, I think, not on the corners that you were concerned about having that big public art piece. And then on the other corner would be
Right.
the other art piece.
Okay. Yeah, that was either, because if the Jackrabbit is going there, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
entrance, I'm driving through it, it's a huge structure there.
Right.
At the beginning, when I'm driving or getting into that. So that was one of the concern on that. So if it goes on the backside on the A Street, probably that is not that bad. Okay, that's my clarification question. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Ellicott Pesek.
I just want to say that I really, really like the art pieces. I like all of them, and the dogs actually really made me smile. And I hope we have the opportunity to do something like that somewhere. I do think there was real thought in suggesting maybe this isn't the right place. Perhaps, but the Jackrabbit certainly resonates in this community as we see them a lot. And having something larger than life like that is exciting. I personally, without being able to physically attach myself or put myself next to the rabbit, I think we always need to consider that kids will climb anything they can. And that's just something to think about. And but I also think that we expect adults to supervise children and children to get out in the world and interact with it. But the ledge on the leg will not surprise me if kids get on that rabbit and find a way. So something to think about. and, you know, to some degree with the swirl bird too. I have to say that part of what I really love about this particular sculpture is the setting in which it's photographed. And I don't know whether that is what we're looking at for the park in that section. But I think, particularly with the possibility of a hanging or whatever, it might be nice if it did have a little more around it to prevent some of that climbing. But I just think that a lot of thought has clearly gone into this. I really appreciate providing the update on, you know, considerations of vandalism in particular. Everything will need maintenance at some point, but it sounds like we have enough experience with this art to have an understanding of how it's going to interplay. And I personally come from a standpoint is I don't really think of art as the first thing when I think about, you know, parks and all the amenities. And so I really appreciate the work that goes into trying to include art in all of our places. And it struck me recently, actually watching the Golden Globes last night. It's not directly applicable, but one of the recipients, I think for best original score or something like that, was talking about how much he appreciated the school environment in which he grew up, that he was exposed to music and the arts and had that opportunity. Not everybody has it. And so one of the things I think is so important about this, you know, not being somebody who immediately thinks of these things, is this is a great way to inspire budding artists as well as to create a different kind of interaction in the park. So I know we probably have other priorities and there are other places we could do things, but I really appreciate the Parks and Community Services Department, the Arts Commission, and everybody working on this to make sure that art is a part of our parks and the park experience. So I love all of the pieces. I'm excited about the ones you all chose and do agree I'd like to see the Jackrabbit in a space that fits its size and stature. So I don't have a lot of questions, but I'm excited for this and
you.
appreciate it.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
Well, I think I like both of the pieces, and I know for years that we've always been trying to get more art in the parks for a long, long time. I know that was one of our main concerns, and now it's really coming to fruition that we're doing it. And I think this park, when we did it, was we did a lot of investigating, and I think it was really a nice nature park. And so I think these two fit very well. I like the Jackrabbit and I like the swirly bird. I think that's really cute. And so I think they did give, I'm very glad that they decided that, yeah, the dog should maybe be in a dog park maybe. And but I really like this swirly bird. And so I'm pleased that we're now going into this, and I think it's a good place for them. And I think I've worked with a gentleman that's doing the art also. And so I think it's a really good fit. And so I'm happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Breed.
Yeah. I like the dog. So especially the happy dog. The rabbit needs to be happier. Just for my input, that's what's going on in my head down there. So you know, my only comment, I'm fine with whatever we put in there, but I don't buy into the concept that dogs need to be near dog parks, but especially with you think about kind of the mental state and how we're trying to drive the mental challenges people have been over the past couple of years, how to create an environment where people look forward to going to somewhere, and parks is a place for them to regenerate. So that's kind of the only reason why it's on the happy dog, but I'm okay either way. The only other point I bring up is, as we look at funding and we look at where we're allocating the funding, my challenge I struggle with, and maybe as I'm still new, what are really the priorities where we should be spending our money? And though the art's cool, are there other big priorities where we need to finish building some parks, or how's all that going to work? So I think as we think about going down the line, and we start using these type of funding, though art's important, are there other priorities where this money should be going? I think so. Not that I'm not supportive of art. I'm supportive of, there's other things that I think are a higher priority. So that's where I'm at on that.
Commissioner Osland.
Well, I thought that the rabbit was going to be at Camino Ramon and Executive Parkway this whole time. That's where I thought that was being positioned. And I actually kind of liked that because I thought that is going to bring some attention to this space. People are going to see it when they're walking and driving by. But I also see the liabilities of putting it there too. I love the rabbit. I think it is what we see in our open space all the time. It is a signature animal that we have here in San Ramon. But I was really feeling like, is there something that we can also create that kind of goes with the rabbit? But I'm fine with both pieces. I'm getting my head wrapped around the rabbit's going to go more off of A Street instead of at Camino Ramon and Executive Parkway. But I'm happy with both pieces. And it's my understanding that we've already made the decision that we're going to select 2 pieces of art for this particular park. So that we're not changing that. The concept has been solidified. So I'm in support of what has been presented tonight.
Thank you. Vice Chair Dorlick.
As far as the funding, if I understand correctly, this funding is, in this park and is not transferable to other parks. Is that correct?
It's a small amount of the in lieu fees. So
Yeah.
these are fairly small scale in relationship to the rest of the cost of the park. So there's a chunk of change that will be left over after all of this park has been built, that will come back to be used for other things in other parks. So yeah, is the primary goal, everything that should be done with this money, this park? Yes, it's for this space. But some of those fees, the additional in lieu fees, would come back to support the other parks in the area.
And regarding the dog, actually, Mr. Rogers has a couple of this Mr. Rogers, not the other Mr. Rogers, has a couple of other sculptures that were actually under consideration for Central Park, which was again a very whimsical dog with a bone cut out of it. You remember that one, Candy?
I do.
And I was actually looking for that one when we had this presentation, but it was a dog with a bone, kind of like cut out and where the stomach was. And it was kind of really a very, very fun, sculpture. But the way I look at it, we tore down BR6 and we're putting in BR Jack, Bunny Rabbit Jack. So, kind of like keeps the balance
That's
of power
super
in the
cute.
universe.
Yeah. I was thinking that I could see it morph into, as people say, oh, let's meet at this space. Oh, let's meet at Jackrabbit Park.
Exactly. That's where I was
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, I could see that. But BR, I knew there was a reason we had you on this board. I knew it.
And
Okay.
in light of that, I would make a recommendation to receive.
Can I make my comments first
board-
before we do that?
Well, we can make a motion and then you can continue.
All right. So understood. Yes. Okay. All right. Go.
You should actually make a motion first and then.
All right. If
discuss
you
it,
insist,
because
if
then
you
know what
insist.
You're actually discussing.
Okay, go for
rather
it.
than kind of a-
All right. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Anyway, I would make a recommendation and a motion to accept the recommendation of the Arts Advisory Committee as well as staff and approve the 2 stated sculptures, locations and implementation in the park.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Lopez Lucy, thank you. Okay, so I do have a couple things and we'll go to a vote. And if anybody else has any additional comments, we can do that. I want to validate, I do like the dog. I do see the value of the jackrabbit, but obviously the big thing for me is safety. I wanted to spend just a second to see how much I do like the swirly bird, because I feel like it does complement, it resembles a tree, which is a big part of our identity as a community. I like that it does complement a natural setting, but I also like that it is open to interpretation of what it is. And I like that process of creativity for our kids and our community to be able to look at it and say, well, this is what I see. Well, this is what I see. So I like that it's not so literal. The jackrabbit is pretty literal, but this is a little more open to interpretation. And I love that. Obviously, safety is always paramount to what we're looking at in this group. We're always looking at that. And I don't think we overexhaust it by mentioning it every time we have that concern, but I do hope that we keep that in mind. And then just, I always want to validate Commissioner Breed. I know that he's always keeping a diligent eye on our dollars and cents. And as a fiscally responsible appointed official, that's something near and dear to my heart. I think that when you're in Parks and Rec, you're also looking at bigger values. You know, you're looking at being fiscally responsible. We should always keep our eye on that prize. But, you know, we know we're not a profit generating entity per se, and we're looking at other kinds of capital. We're looking at emotional and physical health and wellness and things that art, I think, brings us. And so I think there's a balance, and I feel confident that we really are careful about that balance, you know. And so I validate that we want to keep our eyes on that. But as Commissioner Ellicott-Pasek has always expressed the value of art in our community and all the things it brings to us. I want us to never lose sight of that. That's really important. But I love it, and I think it's very exciting. And I do want to publicly say thank you, Arts Advisory Committee. We have advisory committees and we have a chain of messaging, you know, Arts Advisory to Parks, and sometimes it goes an advisory committee to us, to City Council, and it's part of the process. And this is a very good example of a successful process. And so I thank them for their time and effort. So we have a motion on the floor. We do have a second. Do we have any other last minute comments? Okay, so we're ready for a vote. Please vote. Okay, so we have approved 7-0. And thank you, Brad, for all that information, for answering all our questions.
Thank
You did
you
a great
so
job.
Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to add, now that you've gotten to the end of that, you know what the greatest thing about our people statue is? That people just sit in front of it. They picnic in front of it.
Yeah.
They take pictures in front of it. They engage with it. They stop. They love that sculpture. And I yet to see anyone climb on it, honestly. And all those times in this park, no climbing, just a lot of love for those
Yeah.
people. So
I love that one.
tend to think that we'll have some good luck with this.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kathy.
Mhm.
All right, so we are on to 8.2 Parks, Trails, Open Space and Recreation Master Plan Annual Update 2022. And I believe that Kathy's going to get us started and let us know what is expected of us and what you need from us tonight.
Absolutely. So can I get my PowerPoint on the screen? Thank you so much. All right, so I did throw this onto a PowerPoint because there's a lot of information. And so I wanted to have something that the public could see and also just to kind of have something to follow along with. So basically, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, our master plan is our map. It's our guide. It's what we use. And so the City Council adopted that original master plan at their June 23rd, 2020 meeting. The plan clarifies the vision for the community and really is what we follow. If you go back and look at it, this first slide shows the top 10 priorities for the city, from shade and seating on the Iron Horse Trail, paved walking loops, which we talk a lot about, and we just saw some. Again, preserving open space, biking and walking path connections, unpaved loop trails and open space, cricket pitches, the Iron Horse Trail overcrossing, lighted basketball court, facility renovations, i.e. all of our community centers we've been working through, and nature-based playground equipment and programming. So it further defines 95 specific recommendations. Now, interestingly enough, Commissioner Oslin today called me up and said, your spreadsheet in the staff report has 95 line items, but our actual master plan only has 94. And she is correct. Because when I went back and looked at it, we have 245s in the actual book of the master plan.
Oh.
So Commissioner Oslin, because next year I will make it a 95A and a 95B. So for this year, it's skewed one off of the two documents. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Anyway, it has these recommendations to be achieved over the next 10 plus years. The plan divides the recommendations into ongoing, low, medium, and high priority, and identifies timeframes of 0 to 5, 6 to 10, and 11 to 20 years for completion. And so we have gone through those recommendations and provided brief updates on the progress made during 2022. Now, clearly, there's 95 of them. And so we have only given you a sentence or two at the most. So it does not dive into the depth or breadth of lots of the work that's been done in some of these areas, and nor is it completely comprehensive. There are lots of things that are done that we did not include, but we tried to pick up at least a good sense of the progress that the department has made. The spreadsheet's arranged in the same order as the master plan, and that's to make it a little easier for you to reference. And our presentation will focus on the major accomplishments. I didn't list every single one because there is some repetition, and that is because sometimes something like the BR6 park hits 2 or 3 different goals. It has walking loops, it has art, it has things for teens, and so you will see it repeated. And so in some of the slides I didn't repeat, but in some of them I tried to make it clear. So to start with, we have those 4 primary goals. The first one is interconnected. And so some of the big areas that we've made headway in interconnected is the establishment of the regional committee made up of staff from East Bay Regional Park District and the other local cities along the Iron Horse Trail. They've been meeting to collaborate on issues related to the trail. So that's a big deal because, again, shade and seating on the trail are more complex. And so that's one of the things that they're taking a look at. So that's very helpful in moving that goal forward. The city council, as you know, approved an agreement with Smart Outdoors to install trail signage, which is moving us in a big way on that goal. We've approved a conceptual plan for the BR6 park that includes walking loops and pathways that connect to the walking district and adjacent housing. Again, that's something that this commission has talked a lot about and was a very high value. So making headway there. The Bollinger Overcrossing is underway. I believe they've completed the undergrounding of some of those pieces, and I think we're going to see actual construction starting in this next year. So that's huge. One of the goals that I got a late update from our transportation division is that we've completed approximately 27 miles of striping and additional signage for Class 3 shared use and buffered bike lanes in the bicycle net. I can't say that today, in too many B's, in the bicycle network per the bike master plan. So that's significant. 27 more miles really makes a difference to people biking in the city. Also interconnected is working with East Bay Regional Park on future trail connections from various points in San Ramon, including the northern and southern limits of the Tasajara Ridge and trails being developed as part of the preserve. We've incorporated the Annabelle Lake Loop Trail into the 2022 Trails Challenge program. Staff has updated the City Trails and Open Space webpage with open space and rural area maps, 6 good suggestions for looped hikes that you can take right now in our open space, and of course, the final version of the OSAC's vision for preserving contiguous open space in and around San Ramon. Also on interconnected are the BR6 and BR1A conceptual park plans are integrated into that walking district and provide additional walking loops and connections to pathways. And finally, on interconnected, staff are right now in the process of investigating options for a public art plan for the walking district area. So, you know, we've got this one piece, but now looking at the entire way that the walking district is set up and where that art should be placed and how and what kind of art. So that's something that we're starting work on, and hopefully next year I'll have a bigger update in that area. So as we move into conservation and connection to nature, we've got quite a few things that we've accomplished this year. So East Bay Regional Park Districts is in the approval process to expand the Las Trampas Regional Wilderness Park to the south that will have the connecting trails into the Feria Preserve. East Bay Regional Park and our Parks and Community Services staff coordinated a field trip for the Open Space Advisory Committee, specifically to look at the future preserve trailhead and the proposed future Las Trampas staging area located on Bollinger Canyon Road. That's also really good beginnings of understanding how more of our trails connect to open space. The city this last year offered 8 lead hikes and 1 outreach event, which featured a local photographer that was with the Open Space Advisory. We continue to replace our older irrigation controllers, convert additional turf areas to drought tolerant shrubs with bubblers for irrigation, which use less water and meet our water conservation goals. That's all in our public services department. In order to take care of our historic property, which is another big value, we've repainted the outside of the Welcome Center, the garage, the open barn, granary, and fuel shed at Forest Home Farm that protects them from damage. We've added nature camp to Crow Canyon Gardens this last summer, and we'll be increasing that this summer. And we've developed high-level conceptual designs for Crow Canyon Gardens, which of course you're going to be seeing at the end of this month. In addition, in order to really move forward on our nature goal, we got a little delayed by that pandemic, but now that we're back on our feet again, we've reorganized the Parks and Community Services Department to provide some more bandwidth for staff to increase our nature programming through contracts and agreements with other nature-based organizations. So next year, I think you're going to see a big bump up in that area. We've been in discussion with East Bay Regional Parks regarding the Burrell property. That's that open area next to Costco that's technically in Danville, and what their plans are to do historic programming and nature-based programming at that site, so that we'll be able to potentially partner with them and be complementary, and certainly see what we can do that helps each of the organizations. We're researching possible programs that utilize Annabelle Lake. So we've got staff right now coming up with what can we do there? How can we program that area so that we can use that for city events and activities? So that'll be also exciting to see as that comes along. The trail systems being developed by the preserve developers with connections to the East Bay Regional Park District. So they've got internal trails in their development that will connect to the park and will connect to East Bay Regional Park District. The BR6 Park Conceptual Plan includes nature-based play equipment. That was another big value in the master plan, that we wanted to see nature-based play equipment. And so that's one of the parks that will be coming along with that. We've recently partnered with the San Ramon Valley High School Bicycle Club to step up and volunteer to groom the current BMX track and bring the jumps back to their original slopes and angles. It's, the BMX track is dirt, and when you ride over and over and over again, it degrades. We used to have a contractor that would come out and would manage all that. And over the years, that has fallen away from what we were doing. There's not competitions held out there anymore. And so this club volunteered to come out and take that on. So we'll be working on that, but we just got the agreement started and that'll be showing up. We're going to move into the inclusive goal. And this one actually, I think, is the one that had the most items in it. And it's interesting when you organize the update for the master plan in different ways. If you look at it in the spreadsheet, you see it's going from ongoing to high to medium to low in each area based on years. Well, when I pulled them out for the PowerPoint, I pulled them into each of these areas, which then also kind of showed which of our 4 primary areas we are accomplishing the most. And so interestingly enough, I think inclusive was the most of the updates we had were in that area, which makes me happy because I think that's something, again, that the city values. So in the inclusive goal, we continue to work with California High School and Doherty Valley High School to recruit our diverse part-time workforce that really reflects our community. We've maintained program levels for youth, special needs, and teens. We've continued to offer the Go San Ramon program to help seniors get around the city at an economical price. The Alcosta Senior Center staff have been working with County Connection Link Paratransit so that we'll have on-site presentations and satellite assessments so that people who might need paratransit have access to doing those assessments in their own town. They don't have to go all the way to the other end of the county in order to get assessed to find out whether or not they qualify. So that's a really exciting piece of the transportation puzzle. We've created a walking program at the senior center that identifies walking loops again around the facility and park for varying fitness levels, utilizing the existing parkways and pathways, and they're doing programming around that. We've researched the conversion of that tennis court at Central Park to 4 pickleball courts, which I know are going to make the community really happy. And that's included on the fiscal year 23-24 CIP list for consideration. So that'll be coming to you eventually in the spring to consider. In the current year, we've allocated $275,000 towards the cricket field installation at Quail Run Elementary School and are still working through that design, but the money is there. We've presented the annual Culture in the Community celebration that features 48 multicultural performances and 17 cultural booths. Hugely popular and still growing. I think that's only going to get bigger and bigger. We hosted the community tree lighting for the first time, I think, in 20 years. We partnered with PFLAG and the San Ramon Diversity Coalition to host the very first Community Pride event in San Ramon this year. We continue to offer a Bollywood themed act for our 2022 summer concert series and develop the Teen Council Instagram page so they have their own social media to do outreach to teens. Also in inclusive, we provided cultural sensitivity training for our full-time and part-time frontline staff, facility techs, and building attendants. They're the very first people in our community who interrelate with our citizens, and it's really important that they have that training and be able to be sensitive and understand different cultures and how they can be the best to provide customer service. We've conducted 6 diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings at our full-time staff meetings to try and also grow capacity in that area for our own staff. We've collaborated with the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, of course, to promote the Art and Wind Festival, present our Outstanding Teen Citizen Award, and promote city programs at the Chamber's biannual business expo. So we value those big partnerships.
Excuse me, do we want to move forward on the slides to get to where?
Oh,
we're at
did
for
I?
the
Oh,
public?
my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's
Did I?
okay.
I forgot to click. I just
That's
kept
okay.
going. Nope, but I had to go too far. Thank you for telling me that. I'm so sorry.
You're partnered.
What?
Partnered.
Partnered, thank you.
You are.
We partnered with Agamoni to promote Durga Puja and had a City of San Ramon information table at the event. The city council approved a partnership agreement with Smart Outdoors to install trail signage. I think I mentioned before, but the part that kind of goes to inclusive is the QR code that goes to the mobile app that helps connect users to additional information such as maps, local business, local events, and a list of city events. And then, of course, we partnered with Pulse Point to install AEDs at Central Park and Rancho San Ramon Park. Got it that time. Going on in inclusive, we've approved an unfunded CIP for outdoor fitness equipment at the Senior Center Park. We've added new group picnic locations at Memorial Park and Monarch Park and expanded our group picnic season from 6 months to 12. We've offered a new senior and cultural programs such as Karam, American Mahjong, and Spark 55+ fitness classes. We've offered outdoor fitness park permits on a monthly basis now, something that was new for us. We've expanded our aquatic fitness programs to include weekly aqua aerobics classes again. We've presented bocce research with recommendations to improve our existing courts. And we've researched translation services and started gathering more cost estimates on how we can do that so that we can provide more of our written materials in more languages. Still going on inclusive. We've approved a conceptual design for the BR6 park that includes the solar power charging stations, Wi-Fi, and specifically the teen-oriented activity spaces. We've added additional night of badminton at Iron Horse Gym on Saturdays to accommodate the demand, increased badminton class offerings for youth, and added a table tennis program for teens. And we've offered new art classes and camps, including choral music and multicultural dance classes. And these are, every single one of these attaches to a goal, one of those 95. So I know it seems like it's a lot of detail, but it's really what the department has done for the last year. So we move on to the last main area that we focus. We're on to balancing quality and quantity. So that this area is about recognizing that we want to be on the cutting edge and want to have new, beautiful things, but we also want to focus on what we have and making sure we can maintain it and creating that balance between the two. So in this area, we've partnered with the school district on replacement of the Pine Valley Teen Center, coordinated with the school district to install new overhead lights at the San Ramon Olympic Pool and improve safety. We've utilized the total asset management system to identify and prioritize CIP projects and equipment replacement for future years. Bless you.
Thank you so much.
We've reviewed concept plans for our BR1A park that will be the very first privately owned, publicly accessible park in San Ramon. And that's really probably the earmark of balancing quality and quantity. So that's an exciting thing, a new thing. Not a lot of cities with privately owned, publicly accessible parks. So exciting for San Ramon to be in that place. We've approved conceptual park plan for BR6 that includes the nature-based play area, musical instrument play area for all abilities, and the spinning play area. We've created the temporary public art display utilizing donated election signs and collaborated with the Tri-Valley cities to do the Picture This temporary public art project. We've rebranded the Doherty Station Community Center as an art center that will open later this year or reopen. Staff have started the research on the cost benefit of the synthetic turf conversion. Which one is, what's better? Synthetic turf or grass? What are the pluses and the minuses? And how does that all come out price wise? So you'll be seeing a presentation on that later this year, but we've started the work on that. We've created a report template in Civic Rec, which is our registration software for tracking annual department metrics. So things like pool admissions, class participants, drop-in program participants, so that we can run those reports and get consistent data year to year to year to do comparison. Also in balancing quality and quantity, we've continued the ongoing volunteer efforts to clean up and rehab the Crow Canyon Gardens. And we partnered with VCOM and Eagle Scout to adopt garden beds at Crow Canyon Gardens and help maintain them. In collaboration with the Senior Foundation, the furniture at the Al Costa Senior Center has been reupholstered. They're actually on their second set now of more furniture. The new arbor, front landscape seating area, and exterior paint and seal were completed at the San Ramon Community Center. That's that beautiful front area. We've expanded our no-fee tennis court locations and time slots to include Athens Downs, Cal High, and Doherty Valley High School. Partnered with local businesses for event sponsorship and proposed our sports field sponsorship program for the city, which I think we'll be moving forward with. We've completed an annual fee surveys for all of our Parks and Community Services fees and submitted revisions via the fee resolution approval process. And again, that next step will be, you'll be seeing that later this month. So as we continue to look at balancing quality and quantity, we've converted the large dog park area at the Bark and Ride to grass with the addition of 6 shade trees. So both grass and shade out there. That's under construction right now. We've researched the conversion of 1 tennis court at Central Park to 4 pickleball courts, conducted the preliminary research for the estimated cost of creating a pump track at the BMX track location. So that's a longer term goal. And if you look at it on the list, it comes out way farther down. But we wanted to know as we start to plan, how much would that cost to do one of those super cool pump tracks? And so we've started having those conversations and thinking about it. We recognize it's not something we're going to be doing, in the next few years. And hence, with the San Ramon Valley High School wanting to do some maintenance to bring the dirt track that's there up to par, that's good. We have that going, but we're also trying to look forward to where do we want to be in, 5 to 7 years to get that next level done for that park. We've held a Parks Make Life Better Day at Memorial Park that included general painting, cleaning, and maintenance at that park as well, and continue to foster collaborative relationships with the city foundations to achieve some of those common goals and provide additional funds for special projects, specifically noted with the Historic Foundation and all the wonderful things that they've supported at the farm. And then almost there, I think I've got one more page here. So to kind of round out our balance of quality and quantity, we approved conceptual plans for the developer built park at BR6 and the publicly accessible park at BR1A, made additions to the self-guided tour app at Forest Home Farm, including the new Walnut Knocking Tower, information on Seasonal Creek and Walking Tree Tour. We've completed the Boone House historic programming plan, and we've included a bathroom in the BR6 park conceptual design and a bathroom in the transit hub next to the BR1A park site, which were both clearly goals in the master plan to put more bathrooms in parks. So kind of the next step. So what happens? Where are we now? So the next step, staff utilizes any of the feedback that we get from the commission tonight during our annual review process to develop our annual work plans, establish special initiative teams. So if what I hear from you is you're all focused and thinking that one of these goals is more important or that you're really interested in, then I will take that information and I probably will find a way to weave it into some of the work plans that we have so that we can continue to make more headway or move forward on the things that are most important to the commission that you think are most important for the community. Future updates are provided to the commission for feedback annually for year 3 and 4. So this is year 2. So you got the annual review in year 1, annual review this year, annual review in year 3 and 4, where we'll have feedback and a conversation. In year 5, then we're going to kind of go back and do that reassess. 5 years is a good amount of time. And we'll go back and look at the plan, look at the priorities, and probably reorder it. We'll either do it in-house or we may bring design workshop back to do that update for us. And we can reorder the priorities and adjust things. We're not going to start the plan all the way over, but we can fix it and adjust it because things do change. So you can expect that in year 5. And once that year 5 has been completed and approved by the Parks Commission and City Council, the revised goals and objectives will be used to guide the department for the remainder of the term. So I just want to make sure that was clear for everyone, what we do and why we do it. So tonight, I'm really just looking for feedback so that we can continue to move things forward and focus on the things that you think are most important.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Kathy. You did great.
A lot.
Okay. So just a reminder, we're not revising and revamping tonight. We're receiving a very dense considered update. And if, really glaring things come to mind in terms of feedback, I think that's what they're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to public comment. And then we will go to commissioner comments.
All right. Caller, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, Ms. Hyman, thank you so much for your leadership. It really, the city really benefits from your careful and wise planning, and all of your efforts are appreciated. I do have a couple of questions as taxpayer in the GAD area. Of all those top 10 priorities that you have identified in the staff report, I would like to know, as a taxpayer, are any of those priorities located in my territory? Because I am a GAD taxpayer and the city has not had any GAD meetings for the past 6 months. I am wondering, are those projects going to be coming out of my pocket? If yes, how does that work? Do you guys get paid from the GAD reserve? I know we have quite a bit of money in there. Or do you guys open up a CIP and then everybody pays for it, even though it's in my GAD territory? I would like a clarification on how finances work, because I am really tired of paying a lot of taxes. So if you can please clarify that, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Do you want to take that question offline, or do you want to go ahead and comment on whether we have no involvement with the GAD?
Yeah, in brief, no, the funds for the things that we're doing, the trails that we're doing are not coming from the GAD. And I'm happy to discuss it with call and user at a separate time.
That'd be great. Thank you. But thank you for that preliminary answer. Okay, so you guys know is there any more public comment? Okay, so I went to public comment first purposely because I figured the questions and comments might be intertwined on this one. So let's go ahead and we're going to ask the clarifying questions along with providing some feedback. So who would like to get the ball rolling? Don't all come at me at once.
I'll go.
Vice Chair Dorlin, go for it.
Comprehensive list, sticking to the plan, using it as a filter through which decisions are made. Looking forward to the next review. Thank you.
Commissioner Osland?
I'm really happy to see that we have a regional committee that's been formed, and I'm just curious, Kathy, how long has that been in place? And how often do they meet? Is it a public meeting?
Those are some great questions. And I am not on the committee, so I'm not sure that I'm as conversant. Let me make sure I get it correctly. Our new, I'm gonna get the title wrong, Steven Spadowski, is the person that is on that committee.
Okay.
And I believe it got formed just this last year. I want to say 8 or 9 months ago. But I would be happy to include something in the rec report next time if that might suffice.
That'd be great, because I'd be curious about what topics come up, what the other cities and areas along the Iron Horse Trail, what their issues are, what they're looking for. And I'm just very interested in learning more about it. So thank you. I was
Absolutely.
really pleased to see that that has happened. I think for me, my feedback is basically, was about the Iron Horse Trail, definitely working collaboratively with our partners. Really wanted to focus on teens. And I feel that one thing that, we are doing, we're adding Wi-Fi to parks, and we are definitely thinking about these things. But I know we had talked about adding more nature type focused programs for teens, hiking events, because during the pandemic and quarantine, that was a lot of what the teens were doing to recreate. So I think there's a real interest in creating more synergy and kind of like a buzz around events for our teens. And in addition, outdoor programs, but continuing to keep them in mind for and engaging our teen council to get a lot more feedback on what they're looking for. The other thing was seniors, definitely wanting to make sure that we are always incorporating the seniors in every thing that we do with parks and community services. It's not just outreach, but the walking loops. I'm happy to hear that we've worked with the Acosta Senior Center to create these walking loops, but I want to see them in other areas within the community. So maybe elevating that a little bit more in 2023 in the conversation. The other thing, I think what I was really focused on was funding, continuing to find funding sources, other alternative resources to help us fund these, to maintain the balance and quality of our parks, but also to add new as we grow. We've come up with some really great ideas this past year, and I know we're probably just touching the tip of the iceberg. So I'd like to, really get us thinking creatively about funding sources. And the other thing that I really wanted to bring out was I'm very happy to hear that we're implementing a more stringent review process after our programs are completed. I'd also like to see that with any of our events, how many are showing up, how did they hear about us, some kind of like, I'd like to see sort of like I don't know what you call it, like more of a debrief at the end. Are we getting the bang for our buck? Are there new ways for us to be thinking on how we execute? And I think that gathering this data and information annually after programs and events will really help us and inform us as we move forward. So I'd really like to make sure that we do put a lot of energy into that this coming year. And I think that was really, I might have a couple more things, but one question I had in reading this is the status of the PG&E trail. Is that, I don't know if anyone can answer that, but is that still happening? That was one of the goals that we had achieved in 2021, 22.
Yeah, we made it, and I've got to get my trails straightened out. That's why you see me looking up, trying to get all my trails straightened out in my head. But
sorry to throw that out of
no, it's a
wild
good
card
one,
there.
and it is a good one. Keith Haas had done a great deal of work on several trails. One was the Old Ranch Connection, one was the PG&E trail, one was the trail up from the senior center. So there was like these 3 different ones.
Okay.
And we were really moving. but we hit such resistance with the neighbors that were close to those trails, the not in my backyard situation. And as we really step back and look at it, we went, okay, the problem with trying to go individual trail by individual trail, this is probably more than you want, but I think it's really important, is that then the only people who are interested in the individual trail that you want to talk about are the people that live next to it, and they don't want it. And so when you look at it as a city and you say, okay, let's look at the trail master plan, all of the trails and the bigger picture of all of the trails, we can engage the whole community in a conversation that's about the whole community. And that's why we want to do the trails master plan. So we put the brakes on what we were doing because we recognized right away we were headed down a path that was probably not going to get the trails anywhere and didn't engage the community in the conversation. So we're hopeful that through the CIP process, the trail master plan will be approved and we'll be able to really engage on a big effort with the whole community about what that means to have interconnected open space, to have trails in open space, and how do we make that okay for those residents that live near a trail? How do we have that conversation? So that's what happened to the PG&E trail.
Okay, thank you for that. And the last one that I wanted to bring up that I think is important, and I want to make sure that we continue to elevate it, is our parks on the west side of our city. And we have a list of them: the Henry Ranch, Woodlot, and the Crow Canyon Gardens. We're going to be talking about Crow Canyon Gardens, so that's going to come back up. But I really think that we need to be thinking about and keeping that more in our present conversation about what we're going to be doing in these spaces, how we're going to be coming up with the funding for those, because we are deficient on the west side. So that was the other thing that I wanted to make sure that we be thinking about in 2023. Thanks.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Breed?
Well, no, I thought that was gonna be some funding through the City Walk
Yeah.
project
Sunset.
as the building permits were
Yeah,
allocated.
we
So
do.
It may not be for another 5 years, but it was in the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, but for clarity, the Woodlot is the first on the list.
Yeah.
They've, Bishop Branch has already reached out to start programming on that. So you're going to see that in this next year coming forward to start thinking about what do we want to put there. Again, a robust community outreach program, because we've got some close neighbors there. And then that's followed by the,
Henry Ranch. I mean, Woodlot, then
I think it goes Woodlot, then it might be the fields at
Fields.
Central Park being converted to synthetic turf,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Henry Ranch.
Yeah.
So those are all funded. And then Crow Canyon Gardens we're working on.
But to your point, maintenance costs certainly are something we would be responsible for. So it's still a very valid point.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Commissioner Breed?
Okay, Julie covered one of mine, which is awesome. So, hey, first of all, Kathy, Brad, and city staff, I mean, what we're asking you to do in the semester plan is, I think, a lot. And I think it's pretty phenomenal. You get done what you get done. And the number of tasks or goals in here it's a lot to do in a 5-year period. So no, my comments are coming from there, but the work you've done so far is really cool. I don't know if cool is the right word, but really great. So thank you. My feedback is this. Oh, I have questions first, right? So asset management, how, maybe now's not the time, you can tell me offline, but how that works, like what is asset management? And when we look at maintenance on parks and stuff.
Right, and that's public services, so I'd rather have them really dive into their software with you.
That'd be
But
great.
it relates to their facilities and how they replace things. They have the useful life and when it's due to
Yep.
be replaced and the money
what I
and
thought.
how that
But
works.
if I could just interject real quickly, I think that would be an excellent presentation at one of the Parks Commission meetings.
Okay,
I really do.
I think that I agree. I think they probably did it years ago and it's probably
Years ago,
time to do it
yeah.
again.
Okay, well, to ask a question. Okay, and then Annabelle Lake, is that open to walk around? And okay, cool. I just had to double check. Okay, so here's my feedback. There's a lot of work, and I just said that, done by a lot of us. And I think a lot of the committees, there, when I read through the master plan, there's a lot of items that link to a lot of our committees like arts and seniors. So my suggestion would be, when we get reviews from those committees, it would be really helpful that where they own a portion of the master plan, it was on their master plan somewhere, that we know that they're working on it and it's living and breathing. And that way, when it goes to council, they know that it's just not a one-time thing here, but each one of our subcommittees who own these, like, and I put the numbers down if you'd like them.
I would,
But
of course.
I put like 68, 69, 76, and 21 is what I picked up so far. I will get back to you on the rest because was super bored this weekend. So anyways, but anyways, I think that also, I know they're already doing it, but we should get credit for doing that. So if they put it on there, it would be really cool.
Goals, it would
Good.
make it.
Okay. Number 24, which was focus on teens. I just want to build on Julie a little bit. And I brought this up in the teen council meeting, is I do believe there's, I don't know if that's the underserved population of our city, but on Fridays and Saturday nights, they hand out like Safeway or other places. What can we do during, well, my kids hung out at Safeway, so I didn't want to hang out with me. But anyways, so I know, set that up. I saw her laughing because we talked as a team council, right? So anyways, so my point is, sorry about that, is how do we find something when over the weekends on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and more nighttime for the teens to do? How do we create some type of activity that's really cool that they, I feel like, could they do spike ball on Rancho or something like that? But so I'll let you guys own that. Number 82 is touched on, which is the parks that are underserved on the west side. You answered that question. I just would, like you said, there's only one line, but what you just said would be really cool to update on the master plan, because there's a lot of credit you have a plan, so that would have helped tonight too. So on number 48, the open space ID, it's I think out of anything is talking, and I looked it up, it might have been 82, but it's protecting open space. How do we identify open space that, since they're working that project anyways, how do we identify open space that's available and that the council knows that, we could go after it, right? So I'm not sure how that funding works, but I'd like to see that personally worked out a little bit more. And then I don't know if it's number 89 because these two weren't aligned, but it says work with developers. So as they're working the Chevron, plan, I don't know, planning commission does, how do we influence it for City Walk, the things that are really important to us? So that ties in with that. And I think now's a really cool time. And you probably figured this out, but now's a really cool time to strike, to make sure we're working with developers. I know you got that one. So, and that is it, I think, for me. Hang on, let me just double check. Yeah, and number 28 also tied in with that too, by the way, working with Sunset on future plans. So, and then, yeah, that's it. So for me, West Side Parks, how do we look at open space and identify opportunities to go by them, and look at I don't know if it's fair for me to say underserved, but how do we look at the teens and provide something more on, Friday, Saturday night, that maybe we could get them out and more social and more times to springtime, because, fall time with football and stuff. So, and that's it. So once again, I'm going to say it again, the amount that we've asked you guys to do is, in my job, would be overwhelming. So congratulations on the work that you and your team are doing. I was so impressed as I was looking at this. I think it's a lot. And hopefully we can get it more focused in the future, but really nice work. So, yep.
Commissioner Mitra?
Kathy and the whole staff, I would like to I don't have a question or anything. I just want to acknowledge the amount of work that you guys do. I'm directly involved. So I see that how things going on. So especially dividing this whole activities into 4 guiding principles is definitely helpful for us to understand. And especially I like the inclusive nature, because that is one thing I hear it every day in, day out. And looking at some of the action items that we thought that we'll be getting into, and actually seeing that dog park. I see that. When I drive through that, I see that's what's going on that. Equally important is the cricket pitch. And I'm just talking about the inclusiveness, that the work that we are doing on teens. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. We definitely need to get more teen activities on that. We talked about it. It's nothing new. We talked about it earlier, but I think we should definitely take this seriously on that one. We'd love to get something very focused on teen related activities here on that. We are talking definitely on the other other side of the spectrum is senior, but we have a senior specific group completely focusing on that. We have center for that on. So definitely I'm glad that we are focusing on that. The probably is about time that we also start looking teens very seriously as well. We do. I'm not saying that we don't, but probably more, a little bit more.
More.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. Overall, I think we are very good on that. And hopefully we'll do the Bollywood night again this year, right?
I believe we are.
It was very popular. It was very popular, very popular. So yeah,
Is that
that's it? Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So Commissioner Elikop-Pezek was so excited about this.
I know. It was
She
an
accidentally
accidental.
moved that we accept this, which I don't think we need a vote on this. This is just feedback. But I think Madam Clerk, I think you can delete that, but we'll go to.
I am excited. I
She's
am
so
excited.
She just got it there.
I'm trying to think, I think I'm going, finishing my second year on Parks Commission. I'm trying to think, it was, I think, April 2020. And so this has been really, really exciting to read, review, listen to, and just hear what's going on. And some things I got really excited. I'm like, really, that's done? Okay, no, it's in process, but it is in the pipeline. And I cannot imagine the amount of work it took to put together this report, let alone to actually be doing all this. So I am just absolutely thrilled and very appreciative and very glad I wasn't the one putting together the report. I'm just saying. There are a couple things that I maybe want to add and or underscore. One that hasn't been brought up and I always like to bring up. So water, water, water. Did you know that, Kathy? Did you anticipate that when we looked at each other?
I still have on my agenda list to do the inventory of the water filling station. So that's going to happen here eventually, but.
Okay. I would just love to, I don't know how we can incorporate that exactly, but I feel like it's a safety issue. It's a health issue. And I think, once we're able to inventory them and put more in, advertising that is out there. And I think that really helps support the idea of, sustainability as well, and encouraging people to bring their bottles and refill, hydrate, stay healthy. So I'm always going to mention that. The teen discussion, I think, is really, really important. I got very excited too at looking at some of the examples, and unfortunately I don't have my notes with me to write down the numbers, but, talking about providing cornhole and, outdoor table tennis and other activities where teens can gather and connect while playing, I think is just super healthy. A couple of years ago when I was at Doherty, we went and bought a whole bunch of ping pong tables, super large Jenga, super large Connect Four, so the kids had a way to connect with each other. They don't have recess, but at lunch, especially the newer kids, or, sometimes people feel a little awkward. And I love that exists at City Center. And I would love for us, I know that that's not an easy thing because it, maintenance and supervision and whatnot, but whether we, designate a few weekend days a year where maybe we invite the food trucks out and we invite the teens out and we have games, and therefore there's kind of a preponderance of people for supervision and making sure things are treated right, but, give the teens something to do to get together. We talk about, cultural investment in our community, et cetera, and doing movie nights. I would love to see something around encouraging the teens that way too. And again, maybe we invite the food trucks so that that's a service, et cetera. So I love the idea of trying to do a little bit more toward allowing our teams to have a gathering place, a place and maybe there's other examples of things that they'd like to do. I'd love for Teen Council to consider this as appropriate. The other thing that I think about is we have the Bollywood dance, we have this festival and a few other things, and we invite the whole community to come out and participate. The other thing I'd like to think about is encouraging our adult and particularly youth sport leagues to share with city big events that they're having and encourage the community to come out. So we've talked a decent bit about, our cricket sport in this community and how I think there's some national recognition and there's some real opportunities. Steve and I go way back on soccer. And we have, high level men's and women's soccer games or, championships. I think about baseball, certainly in the community has hosted some really spectacular events. And I would love for the city to perhaps partner with those different sporting organizations in how can we support bringing the community out? Because these are a big deal for our community. They are, I think, a jewel in our community. We certainly, support the parks through the user group fees as well as taxes, but it's also a big part of why people move here. It's the parks, folks. It's the schools, but it's the parks, and it's the ability to have your kids playing a sport and drop them off and go to another spot, et cetera. And so obviously there are too many, games and things out there, but I think asking the sports user group committee to highlight, if everybody could highlight 1 or 2 events in the year that they'd like for consideration for the city to promote. And once again, we've had issues with bringing food trucks out at tournaments and whatever. This would be a great opportunity for the city to say, we're bringing out the, whatever the food truck mafia out, and we invite the whole community to come out. It's free admission, whatever it is. And let's celebrate our kids, our adults, our, whoever it is out there, in addition to the arts, in addition to cultural events. I'd like to see sporting events highlighted. I'm sure they could iterate off that. And now those are my comments, and in addition to what others brought up. Thank
Great
you.
ideas.
Okay, Commissioner Dorlett,
Okay,
Vice Chair.
commissioner works.
Yeah.
Mr.,
Sir,
sir.
got it. I'll make a mental note.
Anything but Duke of Sussex. Anything but that.
My.
Just as a point of reference, we do have international cricket tournaments in the Tri-Valley, and we had the award ceremony in November, and they finished up at what used to be Patelco Park, which is now what park? Who sponsors it now in Pleasanton? It's another, I forget who it is, but so we do have, and there was presence from the US team and the US league. So pretty much there. Regarding the teens, this was brought up at the teen council meeting. There's actually 2 solutions that I can see. One is by eminent domain, just declare the Safeway parking lot a park. That's what that would solve that problem. But I think one of the things that we as adults keep going back to is we got to have activities, we got to do this, we got to do this. I think, and this is my position, and you tell me what you think, I think teens need unprogrammed time, non-programmed time just to gather together, not playing games, not doing this, just chilling. And I remember in my community when I was growing up, there was an old warehouse that was taken over, and it became the teen center. And you could just go there. We had bands come on Friday and Saturday night. You just go there and hang out.
Became the teen center, and that's.
Yeah, but it wasn't a city sponsored thing. It just, they opened it up and we took it over.
And bands came out.
And it was non-programmed. And I think one of the things that I took away when we were doing, some interviews with the teen council during the pandemic was most of them were so relieved that they actually had time to themselves and not school and after school and sports and swimming and dance. And it was just like time to be. So I would be an advocate of non-programmed time, because I think their lives are programmed much too much already. And that they just need that chill time, that space time, that time to be teens and not have the adults, impose structure on their time.
Can I just share, that is my thinking, actually, Will.
We were talking about cornholes and.
No, but
this
it's
and that
it's
and this.
having,
It's just like-
Let her finish.
it's like the playground is out there, right? The playground is out there for the kids, and they go interact with it or don't, but
Yeah,
it's
but not
there.
programmed. Yeah, okay.
No, but it's there. It's not programming. That's I actually couldn't agree with you more, which is why I love that we have all of these classes. But what I would like is for a little more organic opportunity for teens to do something, because a lot of times when, yes, it's great for them to chill, but a lot of times it's, we're going to go out to the park, but what are we going to do? Well, having the cornhole or the table tennis or whatever,
That's programming.
nobody's
That's
supervising.
programming.
No, it isn't.
Yeah,
No, it isn't. It's the same thing as
Okay,
having
okay.
swings and slides, because that's an opportunity for them
Yeah,
to
but-
interact however they
Okay.
want.
I think there's more synergy between you than
Yeah, yeah.
not. So go ahead and finish, Will.
No, I was, I think it's non-program time is
Okay.
what should be, a priority, because there's so much other program time. And I think there just needs to be that time for that, but
More stuff?
that's just my opinion.
Anything else?
I got plenty of stuff, but
Yeah.
not in relationship to this.
All right, well, we'll
Okay.
table the rest of that for another time. Okay, so the woman of the hour now, Student Commissioner Gupta.
So first of all, I just want to echo what all of the commissioners have said. And I do want to say that this report has been really detailed and great. So thank you so much for that. And I really appreciated seeing all the mention of like teen activities and programs in there. And I was really pleased to see that. And actually, this reminds me, I think just a couple of meetings ago at Teen Council, we did have Becky come to us and ask all the whole Teen Council for our feedback and kind of our input on what we would like to see in terms of teen programming. And I think a lot of what all of you guys have mentioned was something that did come up during our conversation as well. And, we love the classes and everything. And I think that that's a great opportunity. And we even, I remember suggested adding a few activities when we were discussing that Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center and adding some more activities and I guess in a sense, programmed and structured time there. But at the same time, I do agree with that whole sort of idea of having just time to relax and chill. And I think that there's a fine balance between both, and that both of those things are really important to us. And I do agree with what you were saying about how, like, sometimes we go to the park, but it's like, hey, what are you going to do at the park? And so in that sense, I do like having that option of like things just kind of being open. And I think Commissioner Breed, you mentioned like kind of just having something at Rancho where like you have a little bit of equipment out and teens kind of just go there and use the equipment however they see fit and kind of just have a good time. And I think that was something that we actually suggested Becky kind of incorporate into the feedback that she took away from us. And I think that it'll be great to kind of see that, because all of these comments were things that as a full Teen Council, we did mention to Becky and Jen. And I do hope to see those in the future. And I'm really excited for that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
Well, I just want, you've all done, great bringing up your things, but I think, again, I think that we have done a great job, but I think our staff has done a marvelous job of blending all this together and gathering the facts and getting them. I mean, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, but I think that we have come a long way on all these things. And so all these things are very important. And I think if we continue working in this way, I think we'll be, continuing to make our city a really nice city to live and play in. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I know. So I just wrote a big wow. I have other things, but I wrote a big wow because, you'll love this, Commissioner Breed. We are the stewards of our taxpayer money. We are. I mean, that's a reality. So if somebody ever came up to me and said, this much money goes to parks and community services, what are we getting for our dollar? Well,
show them that thing.
We have a lot to account for it, right? And so we should be proud of that. So I echo what everybody says about that. In fact, I know that all of our documents, we are a very transparent city, very well versed in Brown Act. We get our documents online. We do a good job of that. But I feel like maybe this parks master plan, we should provide a soft copy to our advisory committees, because I feel like they need to be invested in this process of setting goals and of seeing them accomplished. So I would recommend that we actually get all of our advisory committees that report up to us a copy of this so they see how it manifests. How is it realized? So that would be one suggestion. I like that in our goals, we are talking about improved use of technology and our communication vehicles to accomplish our master plan goals, because how we communicate permeates virtually every one of these goals. That's important. I want us to be diligent. And Kathy, I'm glad you mentioned the senior transportation. We have an aging community. We need to get them moving certainly around our city, certainly down into city center. And we need to be very diligent about that. So I'm really happy that that's high on your priority list. I think we need to continue to make it. I noticed at least 3 separate goals that mentioned Wi-Fi in the parks. One was very BR6 specific and some were a little bit more generic. So, to our student commissioner's point, if you build it, they will come kind of thing. I almost feel like they're going to go to the parks more readily if there's the Wi-Fi, right? So that needs to be, and I know it's not a cheap proposition, but, and then if they do see, so that's a bit of chill time, even though it's a little bit of technology still, we've got to be a bit realistic about how we approach this, right? But then if they see a cornhole game or they see something and there are 2 kids that don't know each other, it's the technology and the thought that I'll study in the park might have brought them there, but maybe then they get into that game. So I think you guys are both on track with what you're talking about, but we got to figure out how do we get them to the park? And if they know, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong or Peter, but if there's technology there, there's maybe a greater likelihood, right?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yeah. Okay, so let's make sure that that stays high on the priority list. There are several goals that reference the Trails Master Plan. Oh, I get a standing ovation on this one. Okay. I'm teasing. So if I wanted to make sure that this group understood the timing and the process for the Trails Master Plan, we're looking at suggesting it in the next CIP, right? Just to even know that if we can do a master plan, is that correct?
Yes.
Because it's a salient point that so many of those goals are tied to a Trails Master Plan. So I just want to point that out. And I know Kathy is really good about keeping us up to date on that. And we'll talk about CIP in a future meeting, in a not too distant future, I'm sure.
Couple months.
The other thing is number 72 was talking about water play features for the western side of the city. I just want to make sure that staff is mentioning that to Sunset before we go too far down the road on Woodlock and Henry Ranch. I think that to your point a little bit, Julia. Somebody's got to tell them this is on the master plan list. Somebody's got to say, hey, it would be nice if at least one of these incorporated a water play feature. Have you guys already done that?
No, but when we engage in the community outreach to talk about what should go in that park, that will definitely be one of the attributes.
Good.
So we'll probably pull through all of the attributes that are in the master plan that we think logically could go, and then see what that particular community wants to say.
Okay, because I think that side's been clamoring for a water feature for so long. That would be a huge win, I think, for the department. And I guess the only other thing that I would mention is, staff did all that research on a parade and it hasn't been budgeted for. I know it contended but didn't make it, but I feel like in terms of bang for buck and bringing San Ramon together, and the fact that our staff did such a brilliant job of researching the beauty of a light parade, I would really like to see that get a higher priority, because I feel that's a community builder. It's inclusive, it celebrates diversity, and I really feel like that's something we need to push forward. So I'm just going to put that out into the universe.
You mean a light parade, like?
Remember, we had that whole presentation from staff on a community parade for, and then they
Parade
looked
of
at
lights.
different options, and then a light themed parade sort of covered so many groups and appealed to so many folks. So I think that's a brilliant idea, and I'm all about, one of our functions here is to build community. And that will go a long way. And I know that Kathy's an expert, as she's explained to me, she's got experience in parades. And I know that we are, Commissioner Breed, we're competing for finite dollars, but this is maybe one of those where pretty big bang for the buck in terms of developing pride in San Ramon and developing cohesiveness and developing community. So I'd like to see this bump that one up a little bit. So anyway, great job. Like, just so proud, really proud, right? Thank you. And thank you guys for all your comments. One of the things I love about working with you guys is that everybody does their homework, they read their materials, and they come, well, maybe I'm just kidding. And then we have things to say, and we compliment what each other says, and we listen to what each other says. And thank you to our student commissioner for being an active participant. I love when you speak. Okay, so I don't believe that you need a motion. We don't need to pass anything. We were literally just accepting the report and providing feedback, right?
Yeah, and you've all given great feedback and exactly what I needed. Some is right in line with what I was thinking, and others are new ideas, which I love, and they help inform us for the year. So I appreciate you taking the time to really read it and listen to it and provide that.
Thank you. And we did already do public comment on this item, so we can move forward. Okay, so 8.3, Kathy's going to talk to us about selection of the teen council screening and interview committee. Cannot believe we're already to that point of, I can't believe it's on our radar screen.
No, I know. It's that time of year again, and we need to make decisions as it relates to the application screening interview process for potential teen council members. We'll need, just for clarity, 3 commissioners to review and score the applications and 3 commissioners who actually conduct the interviews. So just as a quick reminder, a few years ago, we did talk about doing an assessment center style group interview. And then there was this pandemic that like blew up the world for a few years. And we pivoted and started doing the Zoom interviews. Staff at this point really recommend that we continue that process this year because it really sort of works and it's much more efficient. It's easier to move the kids through more quickly, allows the commissioners to participate from home, which is super nice because it's 3 nights, all night, 39 interviews. And it's also more convenient for the teens and their families because they're not having to drive the kids all over town. So all in all, I think it's not a bad thing, but it's really your process, not mine. I'm just telling you what I see. Staff also wanted to recommend this time around that we consider removing the requirement to provide reference letters. And here's why. The teachers do not want to give the reference letter to the students anymore. And what they want to do is they want to email them straight away to us. Well, that would be fine, except for now, if you've got 50 applications and you've got 50 or 100 teachers emailing to city staff letters that have to get attached to the application, or they'll get knocked out of the screening process. It creates all this hubbub of paper and movement. And the question is, how much value does the reference letter add to the actual screening with the rubric? And so I think it was originally put in as another hurdle to go over to try and lessen the number of applications, but I just don't know if it's necessary. So,
okay, so I'm going to actually need to go to public comment after Kathy's done, and then we'll open up some comment up for us. Okay.
All right. So let me just finish up. So that was the other thing. So if we continue the same process last year, just to remind everyone, staff reviews each application to start with. They make sure they're complete in the first place. The 3 commissioners review the applications using the rubric as a guide to assign a numerical score. The top 39 applicants, based on the scores, invited for interview. 3 commissioners conduct 10-minute interviews over a course of 3 days. The interview panel makes the recommendation to full commission based on the interviews, application, and the scores. Those that are disqualified based on initial screening, did not score high enough for an interview, or not selected, receive a letter thanking them and encouraging them to apply again or get involved as an ambassador. So feedback on the process, any changes, and your feelings on the reference letter, and then who wants which fun job.
Right.
And then last thing, dates, just so you have it.
Yeah.
The screening's supposed to take place February 20th to March 17th. That's like a 4-week window. So that one, you got lots of time, but it's time consuming to read. And the interviewing, if you want to do that, you have to be available. We're looking at the week of March 21st. So March 21, 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I write the wrong date?
21, 22, 23.
Can you repeat those dates?
Perfect. Let's let Christy repeat that.
Through April, so we'll have 3 days within that range.
I'm sorry. So through April.
April
5th.
fifth.
Thank you.
That range.
Okay.
And then the reviewing is when? So the screening is going to be between February 20th and March 7th. You get about a month.
For the screening?
For the screening.
But it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. So was that it, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have any public comment on this?
Thanks, Chrissy.
I don't see anyone's hand up at this time.
Okay, I'm closing public comment, and then we're going to go to Commissioner Ellicott Pesic as the first person. So commenting on process first, maybe? Or anything?
Okay.
Go for it.
Process sounds great. Zoom makes sense. I really appreciate the way you've been doing it. I think Steve and I think were the ones that worked on binders last year, and it is a lot, but it's really, really educational and important. I did want to address the reference letters. I struggle with this one. Having been responsible for reviewing scholarship applications, teen council applications, and other such things, I've found that often the letters of reference have been really key to my understanding of what the student is doing and how they've been doing it. It's not universal, but sometimes I feel like if I just read the letters of reference, because they have been pretty spectacular, they have not been form letters, they've been detailed. I almost can get more information from that than the application, which sometimes, students struggle with how to phrase things or how to share their accomplishments. I will say, though, there have been times when some of the letters of recommendation I've said, is this the aunt or uncle? And so I would appreciate knowing what the relationship is, because then it helps me. It doesn't mean that it's not valid. I totally hear what you're saying about the confidentiality aspect of it. I guess either I would just, we're not like the colleges. So I don't know what to say about that, but the one option could be, as it comes to mind, is providing a Google form option where the instructions are in there. In a perfect world, we know who the applicants are. And so you choose what applicant you're writing a form for, but the reality is they may not all submit everything. And so they can write the name of the applicant, copy paste their paragraph in. Maybe there's an opportunity for name, title, relationship to the student, or how you know the student, which I think would be valuable. And I don't know if it is a requirement. I mean, I definitely saw some applications last year that came through with no letter. And very often the no letter came with a pretty slim application anyway. But I really feel like for me reading those, the letters are extraordinarily valuable to me.
Commissioner Lopez, you're next, but I just wanted to piggyback on what Commissioner Ellicott-Pesic was saying. For me, I feel like you're not going to submit or have submitted a letter of recommendation that doesn't say good stuff. So I'm sort of falling on the side of what staff is recommending on this one. For me, what the candidate has to say, what their experience, what their unique voice is much more powerful to me than what, somebody who's going to say something glowing about them anyway. Right. So I get your point, but that's where I fall on it. But I'll go ahead, Commissioner Lopez.
Well, I had some same issues of, rescreening them and everything. Sometimes I didn't think that the references applied at all and they didn't really make a difference. And I've also done a lot of screening and interviewing on a different for scholarships. And there again, one time we really didn't have to have them. And to me, it didn't really make that big a difference. I mean, I can see both sides, but I think in this instance, I think that if it would be satisfactory, I think if we don't require the reference, I think you can get just as much out of their essay. And sometimes I agree, they don't put forth what they really say, that it's not really clear what they can do and what they've done. But I think you can get as much out as reviewing them. And it takes a lot of time. I've done that. So I think maybe that this tense, if it helps, we drop the reference.
And before I go to Commissioner Dorlick, so am I hearing from both of you, at least you are good with the current process of screening, right? Of how we're screening. Yeah,
yes.
The 3 and 3. Okay, so let's go to Commissioner Dorlick.
Thank you, Chair.
You're so welcome.
All right. I'll be happy to do the interviews. I love doing the interviews, so I'll do that. If that falls into place. As far as the letter of reference, I would tend to agree with staff. They can be valuable, but you never get a negative letter of reference. And my best analogy is I do property management, and I'll get a call from somebody who's leaving and they're renting another place, and they'll call me up and say, how were they? And I can't give a bad reference. I can only say, yes, they were here from this time to this time. And that was it,
And
because,
that's telling.
and if you, but no, if you say anything else, you're liable for, yeah, there's a legal liability. So I mean, I kind of analogize it to that. I used to sell staff time for programmers, as one of my companies I worked with. And I remember, I mean, I only had one programmer. He was so technically proficient that he actually gave a bad reference. And I asked him why, and he said, well, I figured you want to see both sides. And I was like, man, you just made it really hard to sell yourself. So yeah, people don't give bad references, and they'll check on that. So it's almost like, if it's a checklist to say that you get a reference, it's good. But it's going to be a checklist that it's going to be good, because nobody's going to submit a bad reference. Well, then that might be telling right there in the you have bad judgment. Maybe we don't want you making judgments in a council situation.
Yeah, you good?
That's up to you.
Okay, Commissioner Rosalind.
So I do like the process currently. I think that having it electronic for them to submit their information is great. And I think that if we could try to integrate that for the letters of reference, so that the student gets a link and sends it to whoever they want to have complete the reference, and they have a Google form or whatever it is, they can fill it out there and submit it that way, so that it's kind of like a nice, neat package. I don't know anything about technology or the services that you're using, but I think if we can simplify that, I do think that there is value in having a letter. It formalizes this process and shows the students this is preparing them also for college too, applications. So I think it's valuable.
Mr. Breed.
Yeah. First of all, I'll do either one. I interview a lot already for my company, so I'll do either one. So, and also Christy, printing out the binders was awesome last year, because when I'm traveling on a plane, I just take a stack of them, and because I have nothing else to do. So, and yeah, I know I know it's a lot of work for you. I call that out.
Go hang out at Safeway.
Well, that from what I hear, that's our new park. To be honest with you, that's my job. I'm in the stores all the time.
That's true.
In the soap pile for if you're looking for me. Anyway, so the other thing is, here's where I'm gonna let out recommendations. I'm like, I don't think they're on the Rubik's Cube, right? As I recall, I was trying to.
Oh, that's a great question. And I don't remember. I should have looked at the rubric before we entered this conversation.
Yeah. So I would just double check to make sure it's not on the Rubik's Cube before we eliminate them. Personally, I don't, see a big need for them, but what's our goal? Part of this whole process on getting the letters of recommendation might be teaching people, and I think Julia hit it, is how do you approach a teacher and get a letter of recommendation? And it's more important as you go through college, as you're applying for internships and stuff. I just think it's, what are we trying to do? And it's a good learning lesson. But once again, for me, it didn't really influence my Rubik. I mean, I could live what they wrote, and the essays was most important for me as I was scoring them last year. So, but it depends what our goal is and what we're trying to get done. And then also, what we always need to say, what do we want staff to do? If it's overwhelming, it's a lot, then we need to be sensitive to that. So that's kind of really, I'm on the fence. So I just want to let you know.
Okay.
So I can live with either one.
I'm going to go to Student Commissioner Gupta in a sec, but the other thing I think about is the fact that teachers are approached so many times for recommendations. And I just, they're going to be approached by these kids, whether they're doing it for teen counselor or not. And I know teachers are slammed with these kinds of things. So I do think about that kind of thing. Student Commissioner Gupta.
Can I just say one comment before
Yeah.
Ms. Gupta? I think the process works really well, just because look at the result.
Aw, that's so nice. And that's your cue. Okay.
Thank you. I did want to say, I do agree with what you said, Commissioner Osland, that the experience of actually going and asking my teacher for a recommendation letter sophomore year was was really important because I feel like before that, I'd only ever heard of it as something that you do for college, and it seemed super intimidating. And just going up to my teacher and asking her for one, like that took a little bit of effort and confidence. And I think that I really appreciated that for one. And then I think another thing that you mentioned earlier was how it was kind of used as like something to kind of maybe remove like not serious applicants. And I think that that is a really important point because teen council, it requires a lot of effort. And I feel like our best work comes out when we have committed people on the council that are actually willing to put their best foot forward and make progress and you just do things. And I think if there's applicants who are already, you know, maybe a little bit lazy and not willing to put in the effort to get a rec letter, then how much effort will they be able to put in once they're on the council in terms of contributing to the council? So I do think that it's nice in that sense because it shows that they're willing to go the extra step and put in that time and effort to get a rec letter. But I also understand that reviewing them is very time consuming. So yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that.
Good
But yeah,
points.
thank you.
Commissioner Mitra?
Yes, so I have done this screening before and I like the process. Either way, so I'm absolutely okay to help any way I can, screening or interviewing, but just want to do one disclaimer. My daughters might be applying this year. We're still talking, so we don't know if we're applying or not, but I just want to make the disclaimer so that whenever you guys selecting on that, consider that. And then either way, if you think me can help anywhere, I'm fine with that. I
Yeah.
just want to-
Typically, I think the commissioner would recuse themselves in that case.
Yeah.
So
And we've been through that process before.
have we?
Yes,
we
because
Get a free time to go to park.
we had this with Commissioner, you know, Heidi
Yeah.
that excused herself.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you too.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was joking.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
I got you.
yeah. Yeah. Commissioner Ellicott Pesek?
Just to round it out, I certainly support whatever staff wants to do. I would suggest maybe we could consider the Google Doc idea or the Google Form idea, but you know, I would like to make it strongly recommended, if not mandatory. I do think that it while it can feel burdensome perhaps to the teachers, it actually helps not only the experience, but it starts to build relationships with teachers, which I think is really valuable. And again, what's in the application is fundamentally and primarily what is important. And that's where the real information is. But what I've found is sometimes the added analysis from an adult, the character, the hardworking, and I have seen recommendations that are, you know, they would do a good job, right? And then I've seen ones that actually take the time and talk about, and you can tell they've paid attention, they have a connection with the student, they give specific examples, and they provide another lens to it that says, you know, this person is somebody special and outstanding. And when I think about how old they are when they're applying and that experience, and how do I really showcase without sounding like a braggart, that additional lens really helps me see the application in a different way. And it can, in many cases for me, with, you know, a couple of applications that have a similar set of, I've done all these things, it adds another frame of reference, another dimension to, yeah, but this one actually did the extra stuff. They had an impact. They connected with the seniors. They didn't just show up and do whatever. They spent the extra time. And that's where I see the letter of recommendation, to me, should not make the decision against an applicant necessarily, I suppose. And I feel like it was something in the rubric because I feel like there were a couple that didn't, but I can't say for sure.
You know what, I think overall, I hear that everyone's kind of still interested more or less in it. So we will try and figure out a better way to do it this year. Because we need to get the applications out. So we'll come up with something and then, you know, we'll look at this again next year and see how it worked.
Yeah. So what I heard is that everybody's good with the process as it stands, number one. And if I had to evaluate where we fell on the fence, that if we could figure out a Google form or some more efficient way to
Do it,
get
we would do it.
get recommendations, that there are more folks in support of that than would be opposed. And I think, you know, I'm leery a little bit of the letters of rec, but I think we could try that this year, see if it maybe helps us. Is there anybody who would Is that cool with you?
That's fine.
Yeah, okay. Everybody, is that okay? Are we good?
It's okay with Will, I guess.
Okay, so far I've heard that Will would like to interview. I would be happy to interview. Is there? Is there anybody else?
I would scream because I'm gone. part.
Okay, so you guys are taking notes, right?
Yeah, I got Heidi KL and
And Will
Mm-hmm.
interviewing.
who wants to interview?
I can't interview. I'm gonna be out of town those days, so I can help screen.
And I have interviewed for several years, and so I'd like to give someone else an opportunity, and I'll be happy to screen this time.
Oh.
Although we have a
that
pretty
makes
good
sense, that makes
system.
sense.
We have a good system. I'm happy to share
Okay.
how we've been
No, I
doing
can
it.
do either one. I'll do the interview yourself.
I've done both.
Well, Heidi and I. That's
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
You out or what?
I'm out.
Because
I'm fine anyway.
I think it's good to hold back and have other people. Okay, so we've got Heidi Ellicott Pesic, Julia and Steve screening. We've got, is that not-
Carol.
oh, Carol, sorry. Are you gonna interview Steve?
What's that?
Are you gonna, who else is interviewing besides Will and myself?
Whatever you need me to do.
Okay, Steve, you get to interview with us.
It's like the gift.
Okay, and then Carol screening, right? So Carol, Heidi EP and Julia screen, Will, Heidi K and Steve's interview, right? Okay. Is that all you need?
That's what I needed.
Good job.
Because last year I set out and didn't do either one.
Well,
Yeah.
you're gonna miss me.
I already said that.
Yeah. All right,
I
guys.
expressed that very clearly.
We're going to 8.4. We're in the home stretch, gang. Hang in there. Selection of advisory committee
You
interview
were the
panel.
voice of reason.
All right, just for clarity, last little bit here. So annually, half of the terms of the advisory committee members are up and we need to conduct interviews. I need volunteers that hopefully would be willing. Let's make sure I get the dates right, Christy. February 20th to March 1st. Once we have all the applicants, Christy can schedule, but it's helpful to have a list of commissioners who are available and willing to assist during that time frame. So we're not scrambling constantly.
Can we raise our hands if we're available?
February 20th to March
Pardon me?
1st.
Yes.
So is this multiple advisory committees?
Yes, because it's all of them. We end up with half of everybody, right? So half of the arts advisory, half everybody has to reapply. So it's a large number. It happens every year.
So
And then we
you're
scramble around
generally-
trying to get these committee
Yeah.
interviews.
So if you're generally available February 20th to March 1st and can be called upon to help interview, there will be a number of advisory committee.
And we'll just go to the people who raise their hand here first, and then if we can't do it,
Or-
then,
Oh, for those interviews. Well,
yeah,
Can't do it. by the
Perfect.
last
Are they gonna be live?
I
No,
think we've been
Zoom.
doing them live, haven't we? The Zoom.
Better.
Oh.
We will, because of process, can we just go each commissioner, because I'm
No,
available
I'm
certain
not
dates, I'm not available certain dates. I don't know if that helps. or not.
I
Somewhat,
feel like just a general invitation to everybody
right, will work.
will
Okay.
work. Yeah, and then it,
Same for me, Steve. So I think we just, if there's.
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 days in that time that I'm available. and then-
Well, I have the same thing. I'm available some and some not.
We, as long as you're all willing to do it, we've had
Yeah.
people that are out of town in those periods of time before, and then we scramble at the last minute trying to get everybody. So Christy will be reaching out to you to schedule as soon as we have the applicants
Yeah.
and we know how many we've got. And so she can send it out to everybody and see who's willing to step up.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah. Do we have any public comment on this one?
probably not.
Yes, we do. Let
Okay.
me let them in. Go ahead, caller.
Thank you so much. I couldn't ask you questions because the staff report is not inserted for 8.3 and 8.4. So thank you for calling on me. After I listen to you guys, I know what I want to say. As a parent, I do not want any of my children to forward anything via a private platform for any personal information or teacher recommendation, because public meetings should not become a proprietary up on a service or a provider that is private. So I really am against what Commissioner Ellicott Pesic had said about using Google platform. Can we just use good old email addresses? I'm sure the teachers all have email addresses, and the students are automatically assigned a Google email address. I don't know how much more business we need to give to Google, for crying out loud. And regarding interview, I believe last year it was done by the city council members. So this year, I'm not sure why this commission is now the interviewing authority, which I really don't care. If you guys are assigned of this duty to help out the council members, I'm okay with that, provided that you properly notify the public. Like past years, the public were notified and has the right to participate in the interviewing meetings. Then I'm okay with that. Otherwise, I will take this, up as a protest, because you guys are already conflicting the teen council meetings with the board meetings, the trustee board meetings, and we really don't know what you guys are doing. And also their actions are executed at the school sites, which really isn't appropriate without public getting to know what you guys are doing. It is just so strange that you guys try to shut out the public from knowing what you guys are doing through the teens. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Okay, and for the record, the Parks Commission has always interviewed teen council candidates, and we do not do it in a public forum for confidentiality and privacy reasons, if I'm correct. So hopefully there's better understanding there. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, so we're going to go down to staff reports. Item 9.1 recreation maintenance and operations. Was there anything you wanted to?
Tiny, which is mostly lots of holiday happenings in December, tree lighting, Letters to Santa concerts. Hopefully you've got a chance to see that. Our open gym numbers are up and they're still increasing year over year. It's really great to see, specifically those Friday nights, open gym. The sheep barn lighting at Forest Home Farm that the Historic Foundation supported really was great, drew a lot of attention to the historic property. Public Services deserves big kudos, both for lighting the barn and the tree in Central Park this year. Those are both in the report. And then I know they deserve that. They are awesome. And I guess the not so great thing is we did have more vandalism on the bathrooms outside City Hall in December. So we'll now be locking those bathrooms at 8 p.m. to see if that kind of curbs it. We're thinking that's all happening as it gets later and later and the skate park's still open. So we will need to address that later in the year. So that's it.
Commissioner Mitra?
Yes, so Kathy, I just have maybe,
Mhm.
I'm not following you this one. There's facility and support, indoor facility rental. Specifically, you were saying that we have a requested position of 825,000 and we are 381,000 is 46% year to date. Is that we are, wait, this year forecast, is it from January to December? Or is it some other?
No, it's
timeline?
fiscal year, July 1 to June
July
30.
30.
So you've got the first half of the year
Got it.
and the second half of the year is generally stronger because we hit that spring.
So both the cases is July to June. That is
Yes.
that. Okay, so that means we are still way to go. 6 months
Yes.
to go on that one. And so we have 825,000 projected and we have 381 right now.
I don't have it in front
Yeah,
of
I'm
me.
just.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with the group picnic.
Mhm. Right. So when they talk about what they're projecting, because we might already have rental contracts for something, so we know that money's likely
Yeah.
coming in, but we have still a lot more things to rent. So we're anticipating coming in ahead on rentals this year.
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
Oh.
I had the same question, Martha. Yeah, okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, was gonna ask about rentals. Thank you, Partha, for mentioning that. The lights on the barn. I heard somewhere that there was a time where they were either intended to be up all year round or that they were at some point up all year round. Is that the first you're hearing of that?
I'm gonna maybe lean on Mr. Morris over there, who might have
Because
the answer.
there's a big expense taking them down when we could turn them off and on for special events or whatever. I'm just curious. I'm not saying the answer. I'm just asking.
No, I think that's a great question. And there's been some good discussions regarding that. It's been a number of years since
Healthy discussion.
healthy. Thank you. Good word. It's been a number of years since we've had him up on the barn, and from the people that are affiliated with putting him up and taking him down each year, it's been brought to my attention that they did come up and down every year. To our knowledge, they were never left up year round. They would come up and down.
Has there been discussion about whether or not it makes sense to keep them up?
There has been discussion in public services. There's been
Healthy discussions.
more healthy discussions on that. And at this point, public services, we would like to be taking them up and down annually, so they're not
I
up year
trust
round.
from the reference to the healthy discussion that it's healthily on your radar screen. Okay.
It is. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's good. I think just to give you a little bit of background without getting too healthy into it, that you know, there's also wear and tear that comes with those lights by leaving them up. And then you have to, with that wear and tear, you're going up to fix the lights and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And we think we can get more value from our dollars on a long-term basis by them coming up and down
I'm
compared to
glad
them
to hear
leaving
it
them
has
up.
been healthily discussed. Thank
It
you.
has. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay.
I've had the same healthy discussion with myself regarding my Christmas tree.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we have any public comment on this one? Okay, all right. Item 10, commission liaison reports and announcements. I'll get the ball rolling with city council. Last night, because they didn't have one for that. There were several consent items, including, as you all may well have heard, that they approved an agreement for the services of Steven Spadowski to act as the interim city manager. So I believe that'll be 6 months, Kathy,
Something like that. It's
something
through
like
the
that until
process.
they hire the person. So they also spent some time last night recognizing our retiring city manager, Joe Gordon. And so just glowing comments from everybody about him and just the wonder of somebody who was on the police track, became a police chief, and then that unlikely transition to city manager, and the fact that he did it, has done it so well. And so kudos to him. The San Ramon Valley Fire Protection District and the San Ramon PD gave us an update on the Behavioral Health Response Project, which is has just on the 9th, I believe, entered into pilot phase. I don't want to get too much into it, but basically it's reevaluating how we respond to mental health crises, who goes, what happens. And they are one of the really neat parts of it is this idea of if you get a call to 911 from somebody who's experiencing a mental health crisis, how do you do this? I think they called it a warm handoff to say the Contra Costa Crisis Center, or somebody who's better equipped for a mental health crisis where the person's not in danger and harm, or there's no risk of harm to anybody else. And so it's taking a realistic and really productive look at how do we respond to those in a way that results in really positive outcomes for everybody concerned, right? So this is really amazing that our PD and our fire protection district have worked so closely together to accomplish this, and very much tying it to the new 988 mental crisis hotline. And so it's a really collaborative, a really positive thing. So if you really want to hear some more of the details, there's a lot of thought that's gone behind the process. And so I won't go too much more into that, but it's very exciting. For the second year in the row, San Ramon has received the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, which is very exciting. We always get financial awards, but this is the second year that the way that we structure and present our budget has been acknowledged by people in the field. So we should be really proud of that. They went through and approved all of their liaison appointments, as we do when there's a new person. And then also they have elected Mark Armstrong as our new mayor pro tem, or also known as vice mayor. So I think that was the last thing. So let's go down the line. Actually, I'm going to start over here because I just felt so good. Commissioner Breed, and then we'll end with our team.
Well, I won't do teen because we haven't had a meeting, but she does it anyway. So I did get to go to open space. So
nice.
I filled in for Julia, the walking wounded. So they elected a new chairperson, would be Bob Peoples, and the assistant chairperson is Henry Preslonzo.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was very excited about that. For your calendar planning, March 11th, 2023, they will have a open space outreach event, and what they're going to do is show the photography of Stephen Joseph. And really, the goal of that outreach event is really to provide an open space field for those people who can't go on hikes or have mobility issues that really want to experience the beauty of San Ramon. So I would encourage everybody, if you're not doing anything on March 11th. So
What time?
just pick a time. No, what time? Do you remember?
It's 9.
We'll go with 9.
In the morning?
Yes.
On a Saturday morning.
Yeah, and Seth is going to lead it. So Seth Adams, right? So yeah, he's going to lead it. Seth Adams, who is on. Okay.
I know where.
What they're going to do at the terrace room in the San Ramon Community Center.
Oh,
Terrace
they're
room.
just gonna show photographs.
Yeah, just they're going to show photographs. So yeah. So
See,
man,
I think
love
that's
the
great.
questions. What?
And I think that's great. And I think it's great when they do the walking with people
Yeah, that's
online, like take them on virtual hikes for people like seniors and stuff that can't do it. I think that is really neat.
Yeah, I was, surprisingly pretty pumped about the whole thing. So, because I thought that would be really cool. So, anyways, I just thought let everyone know. And I think it's really, anyways, I can tell you, but that's going on. The last thing was really kind of interesting because I had a lot of questions on it, but the Open Space Committee is going to do an inventory of the open space in San Ramon. So think about golf courses, homeowners association, open space, GADS, GHAD. Did I say that correctly? So GADS, like Camp Park. So what is all the open space that we have available? So I have a lot of questions on that, and I brought it out that way. So we'll have a map, and staff is working. And I would tell you, as a committee, that this is no small task, and I'm not sure how much staff time will be, but my one recommendation is, who's the user of this information and how is this information going to be used? So I would let everyone know that. So anyways, that's what happened to open spaces, and loved subbing for Julia. So that's it.
Question on the Saturday morning, are they gonna record that? Is it available?
Yeah, the
online?
great question, actually. Like every question is a great question. I apologize, but the answer to your question is it depends on the room, because some rooms have recording equipment or not. If not, they might do the audio of it, because that was brought up as, can we store it as an archive? So Kathy and team are working on that. If I misspeak, holler.
PowerPoint presentation, and hopefully we can do the audio with it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that is work in process. Any other questions? Open spaces, I'm loving it. Nothing? All right,
Anything else?
Martha, it's up to you.
All right. No new update. Tomorrow there is a library committee meeting. So next month I'll have some update for that on that. I'm still waiting to join my first technology meeting.
Can I go with you? I'm having.
I'll take you when I get a chance.
You know what? No,
Our time and just have a meeting. and
Yeah.
See if anybody shows
No,
up.
I mean, to be honest, this month was not scheduled for that, but the last month was canceled. So yeah,
okay,
there you go.
all right.
Can I get Partha's committee next year? Holy smokes.
No, I don't want it.
He's on it till he gets to
Every
one
time you
meeting.
said no, I
Yeah,
can
really.
do the meeting.
All right, Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
I do not have any reports because I was gone during the month of December. And there's a special meeting of parks this evening, which I couldn't go to both, so I'll report next month on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No, you go, It's my mistake.
Oh, no problem. Everything that happened at Art Advisory we discussed tonight, so
Yeah.
actually no report. The jackrabbit, the trees, and the only other thing we did was review the annual report.
Okay,
And we'll probably review that again this coming meeting to finalize it for final report.
excellent.
So that's been the last couple of meetings. We have things that get presented here, so
Mhm.
yeah, that's
And
really
it
cool.
takes your thunder away.
No, it gives me more to talk about
Okay,
in reality.
thank you.
I gotta pull up my calendar here
Okay.
because there is another open space hike, and it's gonna be on February 11th. and I'll be involved in that one. I believe Sally's going to do it with me, and we're doing the kind of the walking district Lake Annabelle loop. So that's February 11th, and I believe it's usually 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I need to confirm that.
In the morning?
In the morning, Saturday morning.
Okay.
It lasts about an hour,
Okay.
hour and a half. This one.
Is there any place or is there a notification can you get when is that planned?
It is in our community guide, our Parks and Rec guide, and I believe it's also on the website. So
As per the Brown Act, it has to be announced 72 hours ahead.
and
I'm the guy
so
for it.
anyway, that's
What
a
date?
fun walk, and I'll be leading that. Seniors,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I should have. Do they ever ask somebody from Sunset to participate in that in case they have points to point out, or is it?
we've done this walk. This will be the third
Wow.
time, and I do not believe that that has ever been done, but that's probably worth exploring.
Okay.
So
The
thanks.
same walk around the lake.
Yes, yes, around the lake, and then kind of revisiting the city, the walking district, and
Yeah.
informing the community on
Thank
what
you.
we're doing. And a lot of people are not aware that there is a lake back there. So
You end up at the city center after the walk?
you do pass city center and people can venture off there. I haven't actually finalized the route, so maybe that will be something we'll do.
Yeah.
But-
Or get lunch at the lot.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Or a coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the market will be there as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Okay.
Senior citizen, first I want to say thank you to Commissioner Breed for filling in for me. Monday morning was a rainy morning and I've been getting over several illnesses and just needed to not attend. So I'm feeling great to be here tonight. Senior Citizens Advisory Committee did not meet in January, so I have nothing to report. And we'll meet again in February. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Elkapesek.
I did not have any meetings, but I will share a couple of school bits. One is our Reflections Showcase got moved to January 31st. If anyone would like to participate in that, that will be at Monte Vista High School. So reach out if you want details, but that's 6:30 for the kind of mixer and showcase of the art, and 7:30 for presentations and awards. The second thing I wanted to share was that 4 of our San Ramon elementary schools, 9 total in the district, received the California Distinguished School Awards. That was on hiatus briefly during the pandemic, and it's back, and it's kind of a big deal. 9 of our elementary schools, I think we have 22 total, received the California Distinguished. It's, I mean, we come here for the parks, we come here for the schools, among other things. And that is in addition to the 4 that received 2 elementary and 2 middle schools in San Ramon that this last fall received national blue ribbon recognition. And they all went to Washington, DC to receive their recognition.
Which middle school?
Windermere Ranch and Iron Horse were national.
Cool.
Coyote Creek and Gale Ranch. There were 3. So Gale Ranch, Iron Horse, and Windermere for San Ramon, and then Coyote Creek for elementary. And then for the California Distinguished, it's Hidden Hills Elementary, Live Oak Elementary, Neil Armstrong, Walt Disney, and then joining the Danville schools, Alamo, Greenbrook, John Baldwin, Sycamore, and Vista Grande. And they'll be celebrating that down in Anaheim. So I guess when you win that award, you get to go to Disneyland. Kidding. But I do want to commend our teachers and staff, our administration, superintendent, the board, as well as the students themselves and the parents and volunteers that all, everybody coming together helps make for successful schools. And we do want to focus more than on just the academics. And we're really focused a lot on equity and the environment, and trying to create more well-rounded experiences for the students. So I commend Heidi. Earlier, you mentioned the importance of building community and the light parade as part of that. And I do believe that our schools are successful also because of our community. And I think we need to continue to build strong connected community. It supports our schools, it supports our health, it supports our seniors. So thank you for letting me share that.
Student Commissioner Gupta.
So we have not had another meeting yet since our last parks meeting, but we have one next week. So I'm excited for that. And just as a side note, I've been working on a couple of ideas for the ambassador program, since they usually do some sort of big project, sort of like a deliverable at the end of the year. So I've been working on a couple of ideas and I'm excited to share those with the ambassadors next week. And hopefully we'll move forward from there and have a good project this year.
Nice. Good. Okay. I think there were a couple of folks who wanted to mention some additional things. Commissioner Lopez Lucy, and then I'll.
Yes, as you all know, there was, have all these, so some of you might not have them. So I definitely wanted to have them because I would like to invite you all to attend the crab feed, which will be Saturday on January 28th. No host starts at 6 and the dinner will be served at 7. So we will have fresh cracked crab, which is hard to say. I spoke to the person tonight who's going to get us fresh cracked crab. And we have everything else probably pretty much under control. We have one of the breweries that will do pouring of beer, and I'm sure the wine will come available at a later date. And we have a silent auction for goodies that we had a little meeting on, and think we have some really nice little gifts. And we'll have a silent cake auction that we're getting those. And I want to thank the people that are helping. And so I might be in touch with 1 or 2 of you more for who volunteered to help. But we need a couple hundred people. So now we have about 40 registered. So I'm trying to drum up business, but I think this weather doesn't help anybody want to go out and have a good time and party. So if you can pass this on to your friends, I'd appreciate it.
And it benefits.
It benefits the maintenance at the farm.
And we're at the new location.
Yes, we have to have a new location because we can't have it at the Doherty Station because it's under construction. So we have a little we know the lineup or the outline, we have it, but we just have to detail it more so that.
And the cake auction is silent, or is it the live auction?
Well, excuse me, it is a live auction.
okay.
Yeah. So, and usually we have some very good people that have really great cakes. We lost a couple that went out of business, but.
Danville Bakery started.
No, Old Town Bakery are one of our great ones, and Nolan's in Pleasant, and also a couple of good ones. So anyway, pass it on to your community because we do need money to fund all the things that are going on farm, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So the other thing I would like to say is the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club jointly go with the cities of Pleasanton, Dublin and San Ramon and the town of Danville, that we have the teen job fair every year. And this year it is on Saturday, March 4th. And it will be at the Pleasanton Senior Center. And it begins at noon time. And I would greatly appreciate if anyone would volunteer to interview for the mock interviews that we do.
When is it?
March 4 on a Saturday, noon to 3 o'clock. And it's really, that's one of our highlights because, we do have workshops on how to do a resume, how to set up your resume. We also have a parent workshop also to help. Unfortunately, the biggest problem we have is the parents because they want to hover over their students, and we want them to do that themselves because it is a teen fair. And we will serve pizza and cookies and soda or water.
But if you volunteer to interview, they usually do 1 hour shifts.
Yes.
So you're not there all 3
You're
hours.
not there 3
Yeah.
hours.
So you
Yeah.
can,
We'll start with the interviews at 12:30.
it's really neat. If you have an hour to spare, I highly recommend it. It's a really
It's
rewarding thing.
rewarding to see the
Yeah.
teens that it's rewarding to see how that some of them come and dress for, it's really impressive. So if you'd let me know, because I have to help our dear person who's working on it, as you know, Joan Ernst, who's on the senior advisory committee, also has had a slight heart attack.
Oh.
And she had to go under, they tried getting the stent in a different way, but they had to then go back into her groin, and then she got a blood clot on that. So she's kind of had a harder time. And so I'm trying to help her out there too, because she does the teen job fair. But if you can give me your names and your email, that would be greatly appreciated. Then I can pass it on to her, because she is now home, up and around. And if you know Joan, she's going crazy because she's busy all the time. And so she does her walking. It hurts very much. That's her problem. And she has gone to the computer and done some work, but her physical therapy hasn't started yet. So anyway, that was quite a shock to us, because she's a slight like gal and a wonderful gal that does so many things. So if you could just send me an email if you would like to do it, or know other people that would, I'd appreciate it. March 4.
No, oh,
Pleasanton Senior Center.
Pleasanton Senior Center.
so no, Boulevard, right?
Yes,
First
yes.
Street, And Burnett.
Yeah, so that was my ones, and so thank you.
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, I just wanted to also mention that on Thursday, January 26th at the Alcosta Senior Center, there's going to be a morning mixer from 11 to 12. And this is a new thing that the Senior Advisory Committee is hosting. And so it'd be really nice if you had that hour free and you want to drop in. It's just really a chance to do some outreach with our seniors.
Thank you for mentioning that. All right, anything else to mention?
I do have a question on, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I dropped off a lot of historic, the crab feed information, and I know they were out here on the top there. But the other day when I was here, there were quite a few. Now there's not a lot, but there should have been like 100 that were dropped off here. So I don't know if they've all been put out or not.
I don't know, but I can look into it and see. So you dropped them with the front counter here at City Hall?
Well,
I dropped them at our.
yeah, I dropped it at the, and of course I had an envelope for them with all that in. So they're not all in that little space where you put them.
So you gave them to the people here, or you gave them to our staff over it?
I gave them to the staff at San Ramon Community Center. I gave them to her, and she.
Okay, so we'll track back and make sure we know where they are.
Yeah, because you could put some more out there, because apparently that seems as though they're going, and that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and before we adjourn, we do have, I believe, public comment on this last item.
Yes, we do. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Jan, thank you for waiting.
Oh, no. Thank you for calling me. So my first of all, my regards to Joan. I hope that she feels better. And thank you all for all you do. I can really hear that you guys are very involved in a lot of activities outside of this commission, and I thank you for that. I do want to mention my disgust and protest regarding the appointment of Mr. Peoples when there is no proper meeting notification that went out to the public. I would have loved to give some input whether he gets appointed or not. After my input, doesn't matter, because that's how life goes. Not everything goes our way all the time, but we are in the United States of America. We are a democracy. We need to give the public the opportunity to participate in government business. And I am extremely disappointed that the city dropped the ball on that. And regarding identifying the open space in the DB GAD area, I urge you guys to proceed with caution. We have a bunch of homeowners who are ready to sue you guys if you encroach into our rights. Per all the documents that we have received at escrow, I highly urge you guys to please get a copy of the Windermere Master Plan's CCNRs. There may be languages that you guys have overlooked, and that can be a detriment to the city if you proceed without caution. I do believe I participated in a teen council interview with the city councils, so I'm not sure why I was told that you guys have always been the authority of interviewing the teens. I really would like that clarification. If you can please check back to the past agenda on why I was able to participate in an interview. And I think the teen council representative can attest to that because she
Caller,
witnessed.
I think you're referencing the city council selection of the chair for teen council, but not the interview of the individual teen council members. So they do select the chair.
Oh, okay, then maybe that's where, okay, well, thank you for the clarification. Now I get it. So thank you for the time to share with you my comments and questions. And I also want to thank you so much for minding my questions and for answering them. You are appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, and caller, one more thing. We do not make the open space appointments, just so you know. Just want to make sure there's that understanding. Okay, so unless anybody else has anything else, we're going to adjourn. Thank you all for your time.